How's it going, guys?
Hi.
How's it going?
Hey.
Episode 34 of the Stagler. Welcome.
3-4.
I'm Justin,
I'm Nick.
and we have a wonderful show for you today. Unless your name is Scarlett Johansson, then you're going to hate this show. Because our spotlight this episode is on ScarJo.
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 I was thinking, since she hates the ScarJo nickname, that I'd call her Let Hansen. But then it just makes me think of the band, you know, what's the one song they do? It's like the kids in the band. I can't believe it's slipped my mind.
The kids in the band.
Hansen. It's the name of the band. Bop bop dop doo wop shibidap bop doo wop. That song.
I don't know that.
Weird. Okay. You know it. I'm probably just singing it badly. Anyway,
Okay.
that's our spotlight today is on Scarlett Johansson, who you may know from such movies as My Brother the Pig.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Or
big
the
role in that one.
One that neither of us watched. I think it was called The Horse Whisperer.
Yep. That's a huge one.
That was like a 3-hour long movie.
Very famous.
We were like, no.
Very famous
watch
film.
that. Or anything like that. You may have known her from.
Right.
But we'll hit a few, and by a few we have like 20. It looks
That's
like.
all right. We'll speed.
We'll
go
speed
round.
through it, but we have quite a few. Some of the movies we've already talked about because she's just been in a few movies. But we'll get to that when we get to that. I think. For right now, we got our weeks. So, Nick, I'm gonna toss it over to you. How's your week's been?
Not too bad. So remember last show I said I watched Divergent.
I do not remember that, but okay.
You don't remember that? Anyway, I said I watched Divergent. We talked about it, and I was like, I'm gonna watch the other two movies.
Oh wait,
And then
yes,
for this
Divergent, the one where she's different.
She's divergent.
Okay, I got you.
Okay.
So you've seen the other two, I assume.
I've seen the other two. Number 2, Insurgent, and number 3, Allegiant.
Can I just say that right before we started the show, and I was like, oh, how was your week then? You're like, oh, I watched 2 movies. I was expecting more than this, but continue.
Oh. Hey, this is big. This is big. So, Insurgent picks up like right where the first one leaves off, and they're like all being fight the power now.
Sure.
And they team up with the orange people, the farmer people, Amity. I'm pretty good at the names now of the different factions, the
Okay.
Amity faction. And then they are like chilling with them, and they're like kind of okay with it. And Octavia Spencer's like the leader of them. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. Cool. And Miles Teller's character, Peter, is always like scheming. He's just like very selfish person. He's always just kind of like whatever works for him. Like he'll team up with them if like that'll be cool, but like he'll like team up with the bad guys if that'll be cool.
Okay.
And then they get like invaded by the Dauntless people,
Okay.
and they're like rar rar rar. And then I don't remember the next hour of the movie. And then I remember they're like in this room, and there's this box, and they're like the only person that can open this box
It's Paul
is a
Atreides.
Divergent.
Oh.
Right.
Okay.
Is a Divergent. And it was like she like opened the box, and they were like, OMG, she opened the box. This has never happened before. And then there was like this really, I thought it was kind of cool, like visualization of like she would like step and like the room would like explode, and it would be like this like ethereal like plane realm thing. And I was like, I have no
Okay.
idea what's happening. Didn't make any sense to me.
Okay.
But I was like, this is kind of cool looking.
Visually, just interesting.
And then like they did it, and then the blue lady, remember the blue lady?
No.
Well, the blue lady from the blue faction,
Mm-hmm.
the one that was trying to like get rid of the abnegation people, was like, OMG, I've lost. And then you find out that number 4, or his name is 4, played by Theo James, his mom is like
James.
still alive.
Do I know Theo James?
People like him, I think. I don't know if he's really been in anything since these movies, to be completely honest. But
Okay.
you've probably seen his face. He's got like real like, he's like
That's helpful.
that
Yes.
kind of face.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then they shoot the blue lady in the head, and the movie ends. And I was like, that was kind of not great.
Okay. So worse than the first.
No. I think it might have been slightly better than the first movie.
All right. I mean, you just seemed really into it last time, so I don't know.
Because there was a lot of time spent at Amity, which that was my favorite when I... Oh, I remembered. Okay, so that was like my favorite faction from the first movie. But then in this movie, you learn a lot about the faction Candor, which is all about like truth and justice.
Makes sense. Their name is Candor.
And you meet the main Candor dude, and he's like, blah blah blah. I'm all about truth, and they have this like truth serum that like makes you tell the truth, and like if you don't, it hurts really bad. And he was really cool. And then after the movie, we took a quiz to see which faction we were in, and I'm in Candor, so
Okay.
I'm a big Candor guy now. Anyway, so he was cool. That's why I think I like the second one a little more.
Okay.
And then we get to the third movie, Allegiant, which I found out is only they were supposed to do like a two-parter, like Harry Potter, or like Hunger Games or whatever.
Sure.
But this movie did so poorly that they just didn't do the second part.
Oh.
So I didn't know that until like right before I watched it, and I was like, okay, so this is only like half of it. And it was really, really bad. This one is really
The
bad.
worst one?
It makes no sense. I don't know where the budget went. Like some of it just looks like The Room.
Oh no.
I was like, whoa, what are we doing? I can't think of anything. The Candor guy has like one cool speech in it.
Mm-hmm.
And everything else kind of really sucks.
Was it no longer enjoyable, like to that level, or was there still like a kick you got from like, wow, what happened?
No, it was just like, I don't want to watch this anymore.
Just actually bad.
Because
Yeah.
you finally get like outside the walls and you see that like the world kind of sucks, but they have this like really advanced technology place, and they put them in like these bubbles, and then they like float over to the place, and then
Okay.
they're like, you, our main character, Trish, I think that's her name, Trish, and played by Shailene Woodley. They're like, you are a pure because you opened the box, and everyone else is a damaged.
Oh,
And I was like, this is stupid.
that's weird.
And so they're like, you're pure, so we need to use you for science to do things. And she's like, okay. And then they're like, OMG, these people are not good. We need to stop them.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, I don't remember a lot of stuff again because it's not interesting.
Right.
And then I just remember the very ending of the movie, everyone's, like, split up except for, like, the main, like, two. And then she's, like, walking or whatever, and there's, like, some sort of, like, voiceover happening. And then, like, the main... Do you remember in Ford versus Ferrari, Henry...
Okay.
I'll loop it back around.
Sure.
The guy that plays Henry Ford.
Yeah, the fat guy.
He's in this movie.
Okay.
And
Is he playing Henry Ford?
No. He's, like, the leader of, like, this new group outside the walls.
Okay.
And he was, like... disposed of. I can't remember if he like died or like what happened to him, but he was gone. But then the very end of the movie, the camera's like panning and he's like standing behind them. It just ends.
Oh. That sounds
I was
really
like,
funny.
what? But yeah, but that's not even the worst. The worst part of this movie by far
Okay.
is this new group has like this weird technology to like you can like project yourself into like like actual scenarios. So like I could project myself right now into like what's happening 2 blocks away.
Okay,
You know
so
what
it's
I'm saying?
astral projection.
Yeah, but you're not actually there. Like no one can see you or anything.
Yeah,
You're just kind of
astral
observing.
projection.
Yeah. And for some reason they use this ridiculous effect for it where it's like these humongous squares that take up like probably like 1/16 of the screen, and they're everywhere, and they just flash like blue and gray, and it's like
Weird.
the whole
And that's how you know
time.
she's like in the viewing form or whatever?
Yeah, and
Okay.
it happens all the time, and I was like, this hurts my eyes.
Very strange choice. I don't know. Was it edited in like iMovie by any chance? Or
It could have been. It honestly could have
That's what
been.
it sounds like.
Very, very terrible.
So are you upset that they didn't get to finish it? Or like how are you, where'd you
Kinda.
land?
I want to see how what happened.
Are you going to read the book?
Now, my friend told me what happened
Oh.
in like the end of the book, which is also very not good.
Okay.
Uh,
Is it going to make any sense to me?
Eventually, it just ends up that our main character sacrifices herself to like save everybody
Oh, she's pure.
because she's pure.
And everyone else
guess.
is damaged. Wait,
They have the tattoos.
is she Jesus?
I don't know.
She sounds like she might be Jesus.
Could be.
It might be a Jesus thing. I don't know. That's a little strange. Well, luckily, you know, I'm so grateful that you watch these movies because for the longest time,
too.
I was just like, man, should I watch those Divergent movies?
Yeah, I'm
It was
sure
just
you were.
really gnawing at me. I was like, am I missing out? Is there just like some cultural thing that I'm just, I'm not a part of?
You're definitely missing out.
And now I know for sure that I am missing out.
I know.
So it's great that I can eventually go back and read. I think I'll do a read and watch at the same time.
There you go. Well, you got to take the quiz too to find out which faction you're in.
Should I take the quiz before any of them or after the first one or what?
Feel it out. I did it after the second one, so.
Okay,
Wait.
maybe.
No, yeah, I
Allegiance.
did. I did after the second one, yeah.
Okay.
Candor till the day I die.
So would that be like Ravenclaw?
Yeah, I guess probably the closest.
Aren't you a Gryffindor in the test?
I am a Hufflepuff,
Oh,
but
you
I
are a
took
Hufflepuff.
that like forever ago.
Yeah.
I've been meaning to take it again because I feel like I would get placed differently, but I don't know.
Well, when you were placed, you would have been a child, so the Hufflepuff's probably the most, because they're children when they get placed in the houses.
Right.
So I guess that means I'm always a Ravenclaw, which is fine. Ravenclaws, at least in the movies, always felt a little
You were a
underrepresented to
Ravenclaw?
me. Yeah.
Yes, they are underrepresented in the
Yeah.
movies.
So that was always a
Hufflepuff
little
kinda
sad
too,
to me.
though.
True. But we only have so much time for the movies.
Right.
But I know you did watch one other movie because we saw it
We saw a movie.
in the same theater at the same time.
We did that. We watched Nicolas Cage's new movie, Pig.
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 Oh, I'm a pig. Yeah, Pig.
Oink oink.
Pig's a new one. It had a Nicolas Cage and it had a Alex Wolff, right?
Naked Brothers Band.
Naked Brothers Band kid. That's so like demeaning.
I know, I'm
'cause
sorry.
He's a talented actor, but he's in it too, and he's like his little buddy. So Pig is Nicolas Cage. He is a guy living in the woods hunting for truffles with his pig,
His pig.
and he's away from society, and he just lives in a little shack. And what's the character's name? Who I know Nicolas Cage's, but Alex Wolff's character's name.
That's a tough one.
That's a tough one. Rich boy. Rich bitch. Rich bitch comes along. He's got a
Yep.
cool car. And he's like, hey, thanks for the truffles, man. See you later. But then that night, Nicolas Cage is sleeping with his pig. And the pig's like, And he's like, oh, it's just coyotes. And then bam, a bunch of people break into his shack. And they knock him out. And they steal the pig. They steal his pig. And he's like, oh, no, my pig.
Oh, my pig.
So he calls up the rich bitch and he's like, hey, we need to find my pig. And that's the rest of the movie, really.
I need to get my pig back.
There's a weird, like, underground fighting ring underneath, like, a restaurant. And you find out that this guy isn't just some random person. He was, like, a famed, respected, talented chef
Yeah.
named Robin Feld.
Yeah.
And it's, like, a huge deal. Everyone who sees him is like, oh, my God, it's Robin Feld.
Yeah.
It's like a big deal. It's pretty cool. And he just wants his pig back. And you're kind of like, okay, why? What's, going on? Things happen. Eventually find out it's Rich Bitch's dad who stole the pig.
No.
So he's like, oh my gosh, this sucks. So he's like, I got to win it back. We're going to get my pig back. So what does he do? Well, he locks and loads with a couple of knives and a duck, a bird, a bottle, and a salted baguette.
Yep.
And he cooks him a wonderful dinner. And the climax of this film is the same as Ratatouille, which is always a plus for any
Right.
movie.
Absolutely. The same as well.
And so the dad's like, oh, I miss my dying wife, who I keep alive on like a ventilator in like a hospital somewhere.
Yeah.
And he's like, your pig died. Sorry. And Nicolas
then
Cage is
he's
like, oh,
like,
that sucks.
Ah.
That's very sad. And then he gets over it.
Yep. That's the movie.
That's the whole movie. I just want to give a quick thing. It's great. I mean, it's really good. I liked it a lot.
Me too. I thought it was very good.
Mm-hmm. I don't mean to like throw you under the bus or anything, but I just want to know if this is just a you thing or something that is in like the minds of a lot of people. This movie is like a contemplative, zen, very like introspective feelings movie. And I wasn't sure if other people besides you had a John Wick feeling for this film or not.
Everybody, I think 95% of people were like, oh.
Okay.
Well, it sets it up like it because you know who Nicolas Cage is. You're like, Nicolas Cage does crazy stuff all the time.
Okay.
He's a weirdo. He's like some hobo in this movie. And then he gets beaten up and then he's like, I'm going to get my pig back. And he's all bloody on his face. And so you're like, oh, he's going to kill everybody. But then that never happens.
See, I didn't have that going in because I never watched a trailer. Literally, the only synopsis I saw was, I think it was literally like, a man wants to get his pig back. Like, that was like the synopsis that I read.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that's all I know. I didn't even know he was like a cook or anything. So I didn't necessarily go in with it with those kind of like Taken expectations, I guess. So I don't know how that affects, because you went with friends too. Did they have any feelings about it anyway? I'm just wondering, because it's kind of a.
I remember after the movie we were talking about how we were like, oh yeah, he's gonna kill everybody, but then it was like, no, he's just gonna cook for him instead.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it was I came out of it, and the main thing I got from it was kind of the parallels that I saw between Rich Bitch's dad and Robin Feld, Nicolas Cage's character. I thought it was interesting that, to me, and I had a different perspective from my friend who went with me, I saw them as the same character, just taking different steps. I thought they were both people who, they literally had the same, dead or dying wife thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
And they both wanted to regain a sense of control in their lives. So while Rich Bitch's dad did it through resources and like leaning on people and like trying to have the power, Nicolas Cage did it in a way of retreating and going to a world where he really could control everything that was around him, because it was just him and a pig.
Right.
So I took it kind of these two characters taking very different steps to get to the same goal. And I thought that was a very interesting way of viewing the movie as well, because as it relates to Rich Bitch's character of the son, because as Robin and his characters, get along better and better, the only question I had at the end of the film was, is that relationship translating to him and his father's or not? Because they have a very sour relationship. He's like, oh, he's not cut out for it. He'll just get a desk job and get out of my way, stuff like that. And I wasn't sure if they were trying to insinuate that their relationship would heal because of this as well. What do you think?
I didn't feel that.
Yeah. I didn't. I was like really unsure. I was like, I would like if that happened, but I'm not sure, because they really portray the guy as like a scumbag.
Yeah, he's not great.
He's like really, really unwell. He's like, your name used to mean something, now you're nothing.
And he's like, eat this bird.
Yeah. And he's like, you're a stupid pig. You'll never get it back. Here's $20,000. He's like, no, I want my pig. The most Nicolas Cagey moment of this movie to me is when he needs to get to like somewhere, and so he steals this bike, and the guy comes up and he's like, my bike, and he just goes, ah!
He just yells at him,
screams in his face, and then just keeps walking, and the guy's like, oh shit, okay.
That was funny.
That's like the pivotal moment of that film. But yeah, it's I love cooking and I love beating up old people, so this movie really kind of combined two of my loves.
Mm-hmm.
And I not knowing that it would have the cooking part in it, I found it very rewarding to watch. And they even had in the credits like the recipes.
Yeah, I thought that was cool.
That was very, very neat, and I think that's super cool.
I liked that.
But yeah, it was very. The more I think about it, it kind of was like John Wick, except instead of like bullets, he used feelings.
It's like an anti-revenge movie.
Yeah. Which brings me to another point, having known that before I saw the film. There were certain points in the movie that almost felt like misdirections, making you think it was going to go in that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Specifically, the part that really stood out to me the most, and I actually wasn't crazy about it, but maybe it's just because I didn't have that notion beforehand, was when they meet the dad, and he's like, oh, forget about it, you're not getting the pig back. And he like hands the guy a list. He's like, we need to get all these things together. He's like, what are we going to do? We're getting my pig back. And then it like cuts to a shot of a bridge, and it's like them driving down the road. And it sets it up as like, oh, are they going to like attack the house and break in and get the pig?
Yeah.
But it's just like, no, that's when they're getting the ingredients to cook the meal to make him remember his wife.
Yep.
And so that's the most moment that's kind of that misdirection, which makes me think that maybe even marketing-wise, it was a measured choice by the creators. I'm not sure. I haven't looked into it that much on that behalf too much. But it's good. I'd say check it out.
Clever.
Just know what.
Go see it.
I guess the point I was getting to is it better to know what you're getting into, or is it better to be tricked?
I guess it depends what kind of person you are.
That's true. I would assume for most people, they would not be happy.
Right, yeah, if they were like, yeah, I want to see Nicolas Cage kill some people.
And then he's like, well, the persimmon tree, you got to wait until the tannins, kind of expire, and then they taste delicious. But before that, they're inedible.
Yeah, literally.
It's like, okay, sure. I like Pig. I recommend it.
Go see Pig.
the Brandy did a great job. The actress for the pig.
And then who is the understudy? Can't remember. There's a pig understudy.
Cora?
Maybe.
It might have been Cora or Caro or something like that. But yeah,
Two pigs.
Oink oink.
And the pig's not in it very much.
Just the beginning.
I wonder which. I don't know.
It's like it's basically like if Ratatouille and Lion had a baby.
Actually, though, kind of.
Actually, though, kind of, because it's like, oh no, the pig was dead the whole time.
Dang.
It's interesting.
That's messed up.
And
Except Lion still hits harder at the end.
Hits harder at the end.
Especially with that song that they put in.
I was going to say, I think Pig had the better music choice for the credits with the song from the wife.
Yeah, that was nice.
And, it's good being back in the theater where I had to shut up some old ladies next to me.
Yep. That was cool.
That was great. I love doing that. And I was ready to beat up old people. I was like, oh, it's going to translate to real life. What I've learned from the screen can translate to right now.
Yeah.
But I didn't have to go that far. So that is your week, sort of. You're going to toss it over to me right now.
Yeah, I'm tossing it.
Sure.
Zing.
I watched two things. I'll start with the older one. I watched Slumber Party Massacre.
Wow. Is that a Shudder original?
No, that's an old, 1980-something movie, I want to say. I don't know. The Slumber Party Massacre thing... one of the things that they're kind of known for, unless I'm mistaken, is that they're horror movies, about a bunch of girls having a slumber party, but they're written and directed by women, as far as I know.
Okay.
So that's kind of like the thing. And it's kind of interesting going into the film. I wasn't crazy about it, just as a slasher, because it does seem to almost subvert certain tropes, but then really lean into others, or it's like doing both at the same time. There's some really smart, fun moments in this movie. Sadly, one of my favorites happens really early, which is a woman's being chased and she's been cut by the slasher and she's hiding out, but her blood literally pools and it goes under the door crack. So he's like, oh, there you are. It's kind of a cool moment, I thought. But you have a bunch of women and their tits are out a lot of the times and they're just like, oh, fun. The thing that I think differentiates this film maybe from just films of this genre at this time, directed by men or written by men or what have you, is that the women are pretty nice to each other the whole time. I feel like usually there's a lot of catty, backstabbing and stuff with this, but no, this is just a bunch of women who are friends. I mean, sure, they might have a disagreement,
right?
But they're all pretty civil to each other. And the men, although they have scenes where they're ogling the girls and stuff, it's interesting. Right at the beginning, there's a scene where all the women are playing basketball and the men are just kind of sitting on the sidelines, just watching them play basketball. And it's almost like a reversal, you think, like cheerleaders and stuff like that. It's kind of interesting when you read that much into it. But just taking it on the surface level and oh, the slasher uses a big drill and the drill is his penis. It's a fine movie. Some of the effects maybe not have aged super well, but that's to be expected. I think there's a moderate amount of fun to be had with the first one. I've heard the second one is a step up.
Slumber Party Massacre 2.
Yeah, I heard that one's a bit of a step up, so I'm definitely going to check that out at some point. But if you're a horror buff, you got to check out Slumber Party Massacre.
Yeah.
And I also watched a Shudder original called Psycho Goreman.
Sounds crazy.
It's awesome. Psycho Goreman, or his other title being the Archduke of Nightmares, is a alien from the planet Gygax who was enslaved by the Templars. And one day, while being forced to mine, he discovered an ancient artifact, the Praxidike gem. And that gem gave him the powers to, kill all of his captors.
To be a Psycho Goreman.
Well, no. Sort of, but indirectly later. So basically, he got a bunch of superpowers, and he's this... He has all this dark energy, and he just is on a quest to kill everything.
Mm-hmm.
But sadly, the Templars were able to overthrow him and trap his energy and send him down to the planet Earth. And he was stuck on Earth, in the thing. So one day, when these two kids, Mimi and
Fufu,
her brother, the boy, are playing crazy ball in their yard, and whoever loses has to dig their own grave and get buried. And they do it, and then when Luke, the brother, his name's Luke, digs the hole, it's oh, look, there's this weird artifact. And the sister's oh, well, I won the game, so I get it. And it's the gem, and it awakens him, and he wakes up, and he's like, well, I'm here to kill everybody. And then she's like, don't. And he's like, oh, you have the gem, the source of my power. You can control me and make me do whatever you want. So basically, it's these two kids just running around with this crazy alien that wants to destroy all life everywhere. And just, like, making him play basketball with them. And, dressing him up as, like, a cowboy and stuff like that.
Interesting.
And they kill a bunch of cops later.
Nice. And
they have a fun time. And eventually, the Templar's like, oh, he's awake. We have to go get him. And the end of the film is... And their mom and dad are there, too, and they're weird. The whole movie has a very weird just comedy going on to it.
Okay.
And eventually, the Templars come, and the main lady's there, and she's like, oh, I will defeat you. And he's like, oh, this is a warrior's battle. If you're truly the warrior you say you are, you'll fight me in a proper duel. And she's like, what do you have in mind? And he's like, Crazy Ball. And so they all have a team Crazy Ball fight, the Templars and the Psycho Goreman and the kids and the parents. And Psycho Goreman wins. And they give him the crystal so that he can heal and come back to full power, but he's no longer under their control. And he says, you know what? Oh, and the kids name him Psycho Goreman. Just that's where the title comes from. He's like, you know what? I'll spare your family. Because this was an adventure that we went on.
Just their family?
Just their family. And he goes and kills the rest of the planet Earth. And the rest of the universe. Every universe. And that's the end of the, movie.
That sounds really cool, but I have a question.
Okay.
Can he beat Goku?
Can he beat Goku? It depends if Goku can curse his fists with Psycho Goreman's blood.
Is that the only way you can beat him?
Potentially. There is a lot of lore in this film.
Okay.
And there's a lot of lore where he literally just starts talking, on the planet Viraxis, and then the little girl's just like, shut up. I don't care.
That's funny.
The little actress for the girl, she's good, but she's like so crazy and unhinged. Like she's literally a psychopath. Nice. And it's kind of fun just to watch these kind of... It really just seems like a movie everyone has fun with. And the thing I just want to point out is that this movie really feels like an R-rated, hour-and-a-half long, like, Power Rangers episode. Because all of the... there's, like, a ton of costumes that are, like, kind of like the big rubber thing. Like, there's... The Templars are, like, robot people with, like, big eyebrows, if you want to say it. Like, visor things. Yeah. And then Psycho Goreman's like almost looks like a creature from the Black Lagoon kind of type design. And then there's like a robot pirate and a witch lady with a skull stick. Okay. There's just like a ton of like designs happening all the time. And it's just really fun and feels like those old Power Rangers villains and stuff like that. And I think it's a really, really fun time with all that. And of course there's like gore effects and stuff like that. There's a cop that he like turns into a weird like ghoul that like just keeps trying to kill himself because he's like living in extreme pain.
Nice.
I thought it was a pretty fun time. The lessons learned, obviously it's all tongue in cheek the whole time, but some of the lessons learned are like, is that really what you're taking away from this situation? Yeah. It's very strange, but I think it's a romp.
It sounds really cool.
Psycho Goreman.
Yeah.
All right, well, that leads us to one thing, and if you're a listener, then you know what it is, or hopefully you do.
It's a big thing.
We're talking bada bing, The Sopranos.
Bada boom.
The 6B, the whole show, we finished it.
We finished the show.
We're done. And
1 out of 10.
1 out of 10? Is that what you're doing? I was going to go 1 out of 5. Which would be a 2 out of 10. So
that's being light.
That's being light. Guys, listen. Sopranos finished. Sopranos, everyone knows Sopranos. Sopranos. Tomatoes.
Gabagoo.
Okay, so I guess we should cover exactly what was 6B, which was... Mainly, it's like the last 2 episodes to me. Oh, it starts with them taking a vacation at Bobby's.
Right. And they play Monopoly.
And Tony's like, oh, Janice sucks dick everywhere she goes. And Bobby's like, you Sopranos go too far. And he punches him in the face.
And they fight.
And then Tony's like, you unfair and square. But then he's like, if that rug wasn't there, I would have got you. He's like, make up your mind, Tone. So they have a little argument. And Bobby goes and like kills a dude. And that's all good. And then after that... What happens after that? Oh, Christopher. It would go straight to Christopher, no? Christopher, he's having a tough time of it. He's been using again. Tony's really mad about the Cleaver premiere because it makes Tony look like an awful person because he feels like the mob boss is
Right,
modeled
and
after him because it is.
It's Carmelo's fault.
And it is
For
Carmelo's
making him think that way.
fault entirely because Tony's just a little too thick for that, I guess. And they get in a car crash. Well, okay, you know what's funny?
Hold on, that's like a few episodes.
That is
him
a
and
few
Polly have
episodes.
the thing first.
Yeah, him and Polly. Wait. What thing?
They're-
I totally don't remember.
They get really mad at each other for something really stupid, like normal, and Polly
Oh, the yard.
he rips his yard up with his car.
Right. There's like some deal that they like messed up, and he goes to his yard and he drives into the yard and he destroys it all with his new wife, there too, and his daughter, or whatever, his baby.
He's got a kid.
He's got a kid, and so they have this whole stupid feud like they always have. And Paulie is a mess, and I don't like Paulie, even though I mean he is a good enforcer, just not good at anything else.
Yeah. But then it ends up being okay.
Does it?
No, not really. But they don't really fight anymore after that.
Well, I don't think they can fight after that anymore. Anyway, Christopher's like, hey, Tony, listen to this Departed soundtrack. It's so good. And then you're just like, what? And then they crash the car accidentally, and Chris gets a big wound, and Tony's like, why don't I just plug his nose a little bit? He plugs Christopher's nose, and he suffocates on his own blood in the car. And he can't fight back because he's like super high and in pain and wounded. And Tony's like, oh, is he okay? And they're like, no, he's dead. And he's like, oh, that sucks. And everybody...
Terrible. This was a terrible thing that happened.
Everybody is really, really broken up, obviously. It's Christopher.
Except for Tony.
And Tony goes to Melf and he's like, I feel kind of good. He's like, this feels pretty great that he's dead. Because he was a liar and a junkie. And he was like, I hate that about him. And he took care of it. So.
And he goes on vacation.
Yeah.
And he's like, this is great. I love being in Las Vegas.
Yeah,
with this hot woman.
There's this hot woman who jumps his bones. And he's like, it's great. I have a great life. I'm awesome. And stop talking about Christopher, hot woman. She's like, fine, whatever. Then he goes back and they're like, how was Las Vegas? He's like, great. It was awesome.
So good.
No problems in Vegas. No nagging wife in Vegas.
Yeah. Oh, the other thing that I thought was funny about Christopher and Polly's relationship throughout the show is that even when Christopher's dead, they have his funeral and like everybody's at his funeral, but Polly at the same time is having funeral for his mom.
Yeah.
Mom/aunt. And there's like nobody there. So even when Christopher's dead, he's still getting into Polly's head. I thought that was kind of a little funny.
Yeah,
thing.
Tony's like the only one who goes to both.
Yeah.
Polly's and Christopher's. That is pretty funny. And that's, I guess, his final... I wonder how much you get paid to just sit there and be a dead body. Like they got to pay you the same amount, you know?
Yeah, I guess.
It's kind of interesting.
I wonder how many like outtakes there are of like all you have to do is just sit there, but it's gotta be hard.
I could never do that. If someone was having a really emotional scene like next to my dead body, I would just start laughing every single time because I know that's the kind of person I am. I would not be able to handle it.
Yeah, it would be tough.
They'd have to actually kill me for that. But yeah, and then Carmela is also finishes her spec house thing in this season, right? And she's super afraid that like because they kind of cut some corners on the house that it's gonna like collapse and kill everybody inside it.
Yeah.
And then Tony like brings that up and like really viciously like degrades her about it. He's like,
yeah,
that house is gonna kill that unborn baby and it's gonna be your fault. And she's like, fuck you.
Yeah.
And really I think that's like the meanest that he's ever been.
Yeah,
like
that was
moment.
messed up.
That was really,
when he
really
said
messed
that.
up. But she gets over it. He's like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. She's like, okay.
Yeah. You know who else gets over it? Meadow. She gets over Finn real quick. She starts hanging out with what's his face?
God, what's his face?
The one dude's kid.
Yeah, the guy's kid. Yeah, Meadow and Finn are just Splitsville. Like in between seasons, no.
Yep, they're just like,
just done.
I broke up with Finn.
Yeah, I wonder if it's like just a actor thing, maybe.
I don't know.
You know, it could have been something like that, or if it was just whatever decision they're like, yeah, this isn't gonna work out. But she's back, and so she's not in California or wherever, and she's still doesn't know if she wants to go law or pre-med, and she's just having issues with that. And I mean, she doesn't get into. The only big thing that happens to her is a guy from the other family, like, not assaults her, but just like goes to her in public and is like, "You got a pretty mouth," and you know whatever. And she's like, "What the fuck?" And that's like the big thing for her this season, I guess.
And Tony beats the fuck out of him.
He curb stomps him, but I guess he lives.
He puts his mouth like on the corner.
Yeah.
And like, it's bad.
Yeah, but I guess he lives that. He just loses all of his teeth.
Says he's okay. I was like, wow.
I had a tough time believing that.
Guy's dead.
But I was like, sure, all right. His teeth like fly out. Yeah, they're like, you know. And that's how he deals with that situation because he's so good. I guess we could say Melfi this season, it's mostly just her and Elliot being like, there's this study that talk therapy is actually bad for sociopaths because it just makes them better at being a sociopath. And she's like, okay. And she says, you know what, Tony? Get out of my office.
Yeah.
This is the last time I'll ever see you. And I was sad because I could tell when they had the shot of her closing the door where I was like, oh, that actually was just the last of Melfi. Just because the way it was shot and done, I was like, oh, that is it. That's her closing the door, like literally in any other way.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, that's too bad. And isn't that when he took the page out of the magazine or whatever? It was like the recipe, and she was like, how dare you?
Yeah.
You have no care for other people's property or whatever. We have AJ this season.
He gets a woman, then he loses the woman. Then he tries to kill himself.
Yeah. And he's such a failure, he can't even do that.
Doesn't succeed. Thanks to Tony.
Well, I mean, he would have probably just like been waiting there for a while, you know, even with because the rope was long enough. Tony comes in, he's like, oh, what are you doing? He's like,
He's like, I'm fucking drowning.
And so he goes and he hooks up with like a 17-year-old to make himself happy. And he blows his car up.
Right. Yeah, that was hilarious.
Yeah.
His car blows up. And then he's like, yeah.
He's like, life sucks and I hate everything. And what's the thing? Oh, yeah. I guess we'll get to that. Or we can get to it right now. There's a war going on in like the final 2 to 3 episodes.
Right.
The other family are like, you know what? Tony needs to go. He's selfish. He just always wants what he wants, and he doesn't negotiate. He's a bad guy. Let's take him out. They're like, it's a big deal. And he's like, I don't care, whatever. And so they...
Phil Leotardo.
Yeah, Phil Leotardo, of course, being the head. Oh, Johnny Sack passes away this season from his like cancer or whatever.
Yeah, I guess that is the beginning of this one.
That's the beginning.
Rip Johnny Sack.
Rip Johnny Sack.
I thought he was kind of cool.
He was a good one. I mean, other than his obsessive things with his wife.
Yeah.
Other than that, he seemed pretty okay. But yeah, Phil Leotardo is like, let's get him. He goes into hiding, and he's like, we're gonna take out all of his men, all of his like, you know, captains and Tony, and we'll instill someone who we trust, you know. And they start it. They get to Bobby
at the train shop.
They get to Bobby. They really pump him full of lead.
He gets shot many times. That was a cool scene with like all like the little, like they show like all the train sets and like the people like standing at the train with like their faces were like, oh, that was kind of cool.
That is cool. They get to him. They get to Sylv, but he doesn't die. He just goes into a coma for an indeterminate amount of time. So Sylv's out there. Chris is already dead. Paulie is safe.
Right. They were like, should we kill Paulie? And they were like, nah, he's not important enough.
Like, no, why bother, right? That's funny. And so Tony's like, holy shit. He goes home. He's like, Carm, AJ, Meadow, we all got to move to this like safe house that we have. And we'll stay there for a while. I'll stay at this other location with a bunch of my men like guarding me. And I'll stay there for a while. And this will be whatever. And AJ's like, have you ever considered how this affects me? And Tony just like, I think he just like punches him in the face. He's like, fucking pack your bags.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Like, what? Oh, AJ.
He's troubled.
He's a troubled child. And I guess we could just get to like, can we just get to like the last episode now? Is that okay?
I'm trying to think. Oh, the terrorist agent dude. That's
right.
That episode is like, I think that's the last time we see him because he's kind of like hey, remember that thing that one time when I said they were going to kill you? That's happening again. And I think it's pretty big deal this time. So that was cool of him.
And Tony says, hey, I got like the license plates or something of those Arab guys. Here you go.
Yeah.
And later he's like, you can't give me anything on Phil Leotardo. You must still have people in the FBI, like in that department. He's like, no, I can't do that. You're like overreaching. But later on, he gets a phone call, and it's like, it's probably a gas station around blah, blah, blah. Look for one with a payphone. He hangs up, and it was the FBI agent. And it looked like maybe he slept with somebody from that department to like get the info or something.
Yeah.
Not sure what's going on. But that's the actual last time we see him. And so he comes through for Tony. He says, like, this is probably where he is.
Right.
And he gets that
because
info.
They messed up the hit on Phil Leotardo.
Yes, they hit his Guma's dad instead of him. And it was such
stuff.
I was so like stressed during that because it was such a comedy of errors where the two guys were like Slovakian or something, and they were like, "Oh, does Phil Leotardo like know this language?" And the guy was like, "What?" It's like, how should I know? But then he doesn't tell anybody.
Yeah.
He doesn't ask anybody if Phil knew the language. It's like she called him dad. He's like, it's probably a weird sex thing. Don't worry about it. I was like, geez, you think you'd worried about it a little bit more.
Yeah.
But luckily, when they're at the Bada Bing, they see it on like the front page of the murder, and they're like, okay, we messed up. We're not safe. Anyway, they're doing the final thing, the final episode. Yeah, we're in the final episode.
Yeah.
And this episode starts because the final episode, the ending specifically, is kind of a big deal with this show.
Yeah.
Episode starts, if you remember, it's Tony sleeping in the bed, and he's just got his eyes closed. He's like barely breathing. It's just like a very still shot, and it's just like his face and like his white pillow behind him. And I thought that was kind of an interesting choice because there's a lot of imagery and stuff in this episode that relates to like death and stuff. Because that could have easily been, him like Christopher sitting in the casket, just eyes closed, not moving, just white behind him. But no, he wakes up and he gets his gun and he's like, oh, I'm going to have a great day today.
Yep.
Right. And they catch Phil when he's like, I forget who he's with, but he's with somebody and like little kids, like little babies in strollers, and they cap him in the gas station. Everyone's like, oh shit, see that guy? And then the car rolls over his head and crushes it. And everyone's like, oh!
Yeah, that was pretty sweet.
That's pretty weird. And so Phil's out because there was so much death that his guys were like, look, we're tired of all the people dying. Like people on our side dying, people on your side dying. It's
they had
enough.
They had a secret meetup.
They had a secret meetup, which was also interesting because it took place in like a warehouse, and it was like sub-zero temperatures. They were like you could see all their breath and everything, and another kind of like death kind of related thing you might think of. It's just like the cold, and like they're freezing. They're like, yeah, let's just get it all settled. Whatever, shake hands, we're good. So Phil's dead, and
Finally.
Yes, finally. Like the whole show, you're like, okay, when's he gonna die? And you get to the end, and they're like, why don't we just go out to eat?
Let's go to dinner.
Let's go to dinner at Houston's or Howard's or
something.
Some H word. I thought it was H was interesting because of a way you might interpret the ending.
Okay.
Because like heaven starts with an H, and I thought it was like Heston's or something like that was the name of the restaurant.
Oh, okay.
You could look it up and see what it is, but they go to the restaurant, and Tony's just kind of sitting around. Oh, and he sees Uncle June too. Finally, we should mention.
Right. Yeah.
He finally sees Uncle Junior, and he's just gone.
Yeah, he's totally gone at this point.
Junior's just gone, so he's like, okay, whatever, and he moves on.
Yeah.
They go to the restaurant. He sits down. Carmela's there. He's like, oh, what do you want to eat? It's like, oh, I don't know, what's good. AJ's there too, and he's like, oh, hey, AJ, you're going to start at this, like, movie thing. You're going to be, like, I forget what his thing is, but it was, like, an entry-level job for, like, a film.
Yeah, it was cool.
Like, Cleaver was kind of the bridge to. And then Meadows, like, trying to parallel park, and she's super bad at it. And,
And Don't Stop Believin' by Journey is playing.
Don't Stop Believing by Journey is playing, and Tony's just kind of, like, looking around the restaurant, at all the people. You see, like, a dad and, like, two Cub Scouts or something. Well, maybe not a dad, but it's some older gentleman, two Cub Scouts, and then there's like a guy in like a members only jacket. There's like some black guys just like hanging out, having a good time, and a couple that are just like having a lovey-dovey moment, and they're just like looking over to all these people in the room, and then Meadow comes in or like walks up to the door. Tony looks up to see Meadow, and he looks up, and then it cuts to black, and then it's complete silence, and then the show's over.
Don't stop.
Well, no, the show ends at "Don't stop,"
Right,
and then it stops, and it's complete silence.
Ooh, what happened?
So what does that ending mean?
It means nothing.
What?
Well, it doesn't mean nothing, but it means nothing. Does that make sense?
Explain.
So the scene is like built up to make you like my heart. I remember during when I was watching the final scene, I was braced. I was like, something terrible could possibly happen. But then it doesn't show anything, so you're kind of like, ooh, did something terrible happen? But I think that if you watch the show and like really like think about it, nothing happened. It was just everything's over now. Finally, there's no reason that anything should have happened.
Well, it's interesting because I think they even replay the line from Bobby in this season in the first episode, in the last episode, where he's talking about death and he's saying like, oh, if you get shot, would you even hear it? You know, that was like a big thing, which I think is what leads a lot of people to believe that the ending is him getting shot and dying, and that's why it ends. Is because he got shot and he didn't hear it because Bobby. That's what Bobby said. If you get shot, you probably don't even hear it. You know.
That's interesting.
But here's the thing.
But I don't think so.
Here's the thing with this series. With the exception of like maybe like one or two things, like Pussy, I guess being one of them, this show keeps you in the loop. The viewer knows who's gunning for who. You know, when Phil Leotardo makes his plans, we see him make the plans. You know, we're kept in the loop the whole time, you know?
True.
So for them to pull something where at this point, as far as we know, except for like the Russian, you know,
right, the Russian
it could be the Russian. Like, as far as we know, all of his enemies are like dead. Nobody wants Tony actively clipped at this point in the final episode, you know? It's over. So just that even alone, just the history of the show would make you believe that like, no, why would somebody kill Tony right now? So there's that.
There is that.
And I think I thought about this ending a lot.
Okay.
And I think when people see this ending and say, oh, he died, it's like they've become Tony.
Oh, okay.
That makes sense. Because I think it's like a cop. Because, I mean, I feel like the show is about there's a general sense of chaos just around like life and just how everything works. And obviously like a cyclical nature to how people behave. You know, the best way to see what someone's going to do is what they've done in the past, you know? And I feel like people saying that Tony gets shot is the same as Tony killing people to control the situation. You know, you're trying to regain a sense of control over the ending. So you say, oh yeah, I killed him. Like he died.
Yeah.
Because you're killing him in your mind when you say that, you know? That's kind of what I took from it. Maybe that's looking too much into it, but I like that kind of interpretation.
Yeah.
And I thought that the way that his face at the end of the last shot is so like, it's not a smile to see Meadow. It's just like an expressionless, like literally just like looking over, you know? This probably doesn't work for everybody, but for me, when the show ended, my face literally was Tony's face by the end of it. He looked up and had an expressionless face, and I was just watching it like expressionless. And so it cuts to black, and I just like literally saw my own face in the TV, and I was just like, that's kind of weird. I guess that's what kind of sent me down this path. Because what I also kind of took the ending of was, and this I guess was kind of inspiration for Mr. Robot almost, was that the ending isn't Tony's death, but it's our death. It's the death of the spectator. And to even go further with that, you could say it's the death of Tony's like introspection, you know, or of his conscience even. Because think the show starts when he starts having panic attacks and he's like having these feelings about, is the life that I'm leading the right kind of life? And that's when we start watching him.
Right.
So maybe when we stop watching him is when he's like, nah, I'm good. I'm Tony Soprano, and he's going to continue living like he did before this show started.
Yeah.
You know? Which is also interesting because I remember we talked about like last episode even where it's like, oh, it'd be cool in Many Saints of Newark if there was like a after,
right.
thing. That could never work.
No.
If they ever do that, that would be like the worst thing they could ever do, unless they keep Tony completely out of it and keep it like really, really vague.
Yeah.
Just in case they want to be like, oh, maybe Tony is, nobody can mention Tony. Nobody can be like sad. Just keep it really, really vague. And at that point, what's the point?
Right.
Yeah, I thought that idea that it was we, the viewer, were serving as the conscience because, of course, our morals would be better than Tony's, I would hope, if you're watching the show.
Right.
That us no longer watching the show is the death of Tony's little voice in his head going, be a better person, don't kill people, all these things. That's at the end of it, the main takeaway that I had was that it's our death, not Tony's.
That was very interesting. I enjoyed that.
Good. Okay. I think we didn't talk about the cat. The Christopher cat. Remember the Christopher cat?
The one that just looks at his picture.
And Paulie was like, I hate that fucking cat.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. I was just bringing it up.
Yeah. He's like, you'd always look, and he's like, maybe there's like a thing in the wall, and he's like, no, I moved the picture, and he went over and he looked at it again.
Yeah. I also think that the ending feels like a spiritual one or like an ideological one, because again, I had the experience of literally seeing Tony's face and then the screen goes black and my face was like where Tony's face was.
Right.
It was kind of just an interesting thing. So I thought about those questions that he would pose to himself, like when he came out of the coma, who am I, where am I going? That the ending is also like telling the viewer to ask themselves those questions at that point. Because it's like, it's not Tony anymore. Now it's just you. There's no more Tony. What are you going to do now? That's also kind of what I took from it. And I think that the thing I had from the cat was that the cat, you could say like it's Christopher reincarnated or something like that. But I think I said that it's almost like contradictory, like Schrodinger's cat, right? It's alive and dead. It's kind of good and evil, contradictory states of being at the same time. So you can say that at the end of the show, Tony is alive and dead at the same time. Just going with that kind of, since you don't really know, it could be anything, know? But I think that just the idea of Tony dying is so, I don't know if it's reductive, but it's just final. It just ends discussion about the ending in its totality. It's like, oh, what'd you think of the ending? Oh, he died. And then like the discussion ends, where if you go for he didn't die, it leaves a lot more room for what does that mean that he doesn't die at the end of the show.
Right.
It feels a lot more open, which is why I brought up the point where saying that he dies is like approaching the show like the way Tony would approach it and be like, oh yeah, I'll kill the guy because he's causing me trouble, So I like that. If that was the intention, awesome. If it wasn't, still great. I don't care.
Right.
It was a lot of fun. Really, really fun show. Going into it, it honestly has a lot of similarities with Mr. Robot, I felt. Because they're both very, very character-driven shows. The plot at the end of the day doesn't really matter that much. It's character, and specifically in this one, Tony, Do you have anything you want to say about the show in general? Maybe some likes, some dislikes? I have definitely one big one, which is my fault, but...
One big dislike?
Yes, but it's like entirely my fault, and the show doesn't, it's just a me thing.
If I had to say anything, it would probably be that I think the show takes a while, probably until like season 3, to really start like feeling like it has its own like thing. Like it has its own like style going. Because I feel like for the first 2 seasons, it's kind of, not like aimless, but like just kind of feels like I'm watching a really well-written thing.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
So bad?
Because then like from like season 3 on, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm watching The Sopranos.
Oh, sure. I mean, I would say that just goes into with the character development too, where it's like you finally know the characters. The characters have gone beyond their gangster stereotype kind of things, which is, speaking of the ending again, a big gangster stereotype is, at the end, the guy dies. Gangster movies, that's like a big thing. Yeah. It's like they all die at the end. So for a show that seemed to subvert a lot of those qualities, introducing these characters as stereotypes and then fleshing them out as people, that would also seem like a reductive ending to just end like every other gangster thing and be like, oh yeah, and then the boss dies, going to that.
In Cleaver.
Like in Cleaver. I would say the main thing, and I probably brought this up already, was just that I just thought Melfi was a bigger character than she was. And it set me up for a lot of disappointment post season 4, you know, because after that, she really takes a back seat. And I was like, man, I like the Melfi scenes. I think she's an interesting character because she's like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
I'm glad Artie Bucco made it out. Woo, Artie Bucco. So that's...
Your guy made it, my guy didn't.
Your guy did not.
Really unfortunate.
I mean, I was worried there for a second with Artie.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. But no, he made it, and he's with Charmaine or whatever.
He's got no hand, though. Well, it's healing up.
He's got no hand.
It's healing up.
It's healing up, and he'll be okay, I think. I think Vesuvius will make it.
We'll see. He's doing that 2-for-1.
He's doing that 2-for-1 deal. It sounds pretty tasty. I don't know.
I don't know either.
Other than that, I mean... I also guess I wish AJ would have gotten a little bit more. I was happy with Meadows, everything Meadow did. What did you take of Meadows' role in the last scene?
What do you mean?
Do you feel like she was just a vehicle for anxiety?
Yes.
Or do you think it had another meaning of maybe her eventually, maybe past the ending, distancing herself from the family because she's going into crime law at the end of the show, distancing herself from the family, distancing herself from the lifestyle, and that's why it's hard for her to get close, get in, because it's just that.
Well, that could be a thing. I didn't think about that, but yeah, I could definitely see that.
Right, sure. I liked everything that they did with her at the end of the show. I think she was good.
Yeah,
Meadows was good. Christopher, I mean, even though I don't like the things that happened, I think character-wise, I really liked.
Is Meadow like the only good person?
I mean...
Does Meadow do anything bad?
Meadow doesn't do anything bad intentionally, I think. She does anything bad. Like, the worst to me still is when she had that crazy argument with Finn at like 4 a.m. And she's like, but you packed your bags.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, Jesus, Meadow, calm down.
Yeah.
That was like the worst to me. But
that was funny.
Other than that, it's nothing too crazy. Other than, maybe just the same sins of her mother of just turning a blind eye to the things that... Right. I mean, she's the one who's like, oh, yeah, the junior kid that she dated was shot by the mob. And she was like aware of that, you know? And then she still kind of turned a blind eye, but it's family. It's what position is she in?
Right.
I guess AJ maybe would have liked if he got a little bit more, but I don't know if I would have been able to stand it.
AJ's stuff is tough.
AJ's stuff is pretty tough, but they only really dip their toe into the sulfuric acid or what have you of him following his father's footsteps, like when he dips that kid's toe in the sulfuric acid. And he has to get it amputated.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
But really, he only just kind of takes a step to that. But it's obviously setting up, he could very well go down a similar path as his dad. And of course, we have the Many Saints of Newark coming out.
We do.
Which we watched the trailer for right before the show.
We'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, it's got a young Tony, and it seems mostly to focus, just from the one trailer that we just watched, mainly focused with him and Christopher's dad, Dickie, which we know was supposed to be killed by a cop, I think, was the thing.
Yes.
Yeah, because remember, Tony's like, yeah, that's the cop that shot your dad.
Right, and then Chris kills him.
I don't remember if we got more information about that, but that's what I took away from the show, so maybe that's wrong, but I don't know, because it could have been a lie or something.
Right.
But it's interesting. It's a character that we know was troubled in this show, so it'd be cool to see him. I'm pretty sure at this point, yeah, Christopher's not even going to be a twinkle in his father's eye at the timeline that this happens, because Tony is high school or something, because there's a parent-teacher meeting. But I don't know. It looks exciting.
We'll see. No expectations. After El Camino, I will take no expectations to anything.
True. But there is the Bernthal.
John Bernthal is in the movie, which is a humongous bonus.
That's a big, big plus. It's a double plus.
It might even be a triple.
Might even be a triple plus. Good.
Huge John Bernthal fans.
Awesome that he's in it. But yeah, I think that pretty much wraps up what I feel about The Sopranos.
The Sopranos, really, really great.
Sopranos, pretty good.
watch it. Or not. Or don't.
I really hope the Many Saints of Newark can be good.
Oh, please.
The trailer looks. I mean, I don't feel like the trailer gives like too much even, but because you're thinking how will it serve Tony's character, and the best it could do is just flesh out more stuff with his mom. I feel Olivia, which the actress looks like she's gonna do a really good job in that part as well. But I don't know. I'm excited for it. I'll definitely be checking it out.
Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna see it.
We're gonna see it. Okay, we got news.
Wait, hold on. Before the news.
Well, I include this as part of the. Or are you talking about something else?
No, I was gonna do the box office.
Yeah, I call that part of the news. It's like a segment in the news.
First segment of the news. The office of the boxness. I thought there was some interesting stuff going on. So last week, Black Widow, Domination, $100 million. Nothing even close. The next closest thing is Fast 9 with 16 million. Not even close. Not even a fight. It's a total W. 4,000 theaters. Big money. But then this week, that was interesting. Black Widow way down. 64.6% down. Is this like the Disney Plus effect?
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't really think about that. You're thinking diehard fans go to theater as soon as they can.
Yeah.
And a lot of the other people are like, oh, I'll just check it out on Disney Plus.
Right.
Could be, potentially, yeah.
Because, I mean, that is like a huge
That's
drop
a pretty
off.
big dip. Especially for Marvel.
Right. It's a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even number one. Number one is freaking Space Jam.
Right, which was also on HBO Max.
Right. And Space Jam only did 40 mil.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't even know. It was really weird. And then one thing I wanted to mention was Pig made $1 million. So that's kind of cool. Good job for Pig.
Yeah.
Keep it up.
We were like 50 of those million, so good.
Yeah. You know what? We contributed.
We did. Go see Pig, guys.
Go see Pig. Get it up. Get it up there. Maybe we can do $5 million on Pig. I don't know what the budget was, but it couldn't have been that crazy.
Yeah. Just as a sneak peek, you will be talking about Black Widow later because you actually did see it.
Right. Yes, against my will.
But we're against your will.
Not against my will,
Okay.
but I didn't want to see it, but I did.
But you will be talking it at the end of our spotlight, which is Led Hansen.
Right.
All right, news. Warner Bros. Let's just like zap through these, I think.
Okay.
Warner Bros. To produce at least 10 movies exclusively for HBO Max in 2022.
Cool. I like it.
10 or more movies. It's 10 at least.
Wait, exclusively? Like they won't be in theaters?
That's the part that I'm actually unclear about.
Oh, okay.
But at the very least, it would only go to HBO Max as the service.
Yeah, well, either way, I have HBO Max, so I'll take it. As long as there's not like something really crazy that won't be in a movie theater.
It says that all the films for 2022 slate are going to be a case-by-case basis.
Okay.
So they don't quite know, but
Cool.
I like movies, and I have HBO Max, so whatever.
Exactly.
Next Star Trek film to be directed by WandaVision's Matt Shakman, script by Lindsay Beer and Geneva Robertson Dworet.
That's unfortunate.
What? You
Well, it's not unfortunate. Okay, never mind. Because I remember seeing a long time ago that there was the thing where Quentin Tarantino, for his very last movie, was going to make a Star Trek movie. But now, because this is probably a sequel to the third one, so it would be like the fourth one in the thing. I feel like if Quentin Tarantino did a Star Trek movie, it would just be like its own thing, probably.
Right, probably. But I guess I just never envisioned him taking a continuation. I always thought his Star Trek thing would be his own thing.
Right. I that's why I said it was stupid that I said that.
Cool.
I didn't watch WandaVision, but cool.
This will be the first Star Trek film to be written by female screenwriters.
Oh, very nice.
It'll be very cool. Yeah. They say, it's WandaVision that specifically pushed him to go to get this gig. So, good for him.
Because it's kind of been a while since the third one. It's been like 5 years or something. So I'm actually kind of...
5? It's been a while.
I think it was like
It's for sure been a
2016.
while. Yeah. more news. Mitchell's versus the Machines, which I heard was pretty good, pretty
On my
entertaining.
list.
Becomes Netflix's biggest animated film as streamer reveals more viewing data.
Interesting.
So yeah, this is it's the Sony Pictures Animation, so
Right.
it's Spider-Verse people, right?
Yeah.
Which is great. I know they did
They
great
do
for
cool
that.
movies.
So I really hope that they get to continue making very fun, visually appealing animated flicks. I think that they're needed.
53 million member households.
In its first 28 days.
Oh, Over the Moon is on there. Number 2.
Yeah, and it
You
was
know what?
43 million.
Good job to Over the Moon.
Good job, Over the Moon.
I said my praises about Over the Moon. Very
You
cool
hyped
that
it
they're
up.
number 2. I didn't know that many people saw it.
And on the film side, Kevin Hart's Fatherhood is supposed to be 74 million in its first 28 days. And
Estimates.
Army of the Dead to 75 million.
It's unfortunate that it's so high.
Yeah, it is. Fatherhood, I've been hearing things about that one.
Interesting. I don't know. Maybe I'll check it out. I don't know.
I will not. I've just been hearing things, but I'm just not interested.
I'll probably forget about it in about 20 minutes. So
Yeah. What were we talking about? Greta Gerwig
Gerwig,
to direct Bobby. With Margot Robbie filming to start in 2022.
Okay.
I assume just looking at the title, I assume Margot Robbie's gonna be playing like an Australian, like chef.
Yeah, probably.
Who's like grilling shrimp on the Barbie, and it's gonna be a lot like Chef, starring Scarlett Johansson. I bet.
Sure.
Where she's gonna have a kid, and they're gonna have a Twitter page, and I don't know. I just like to see Greta Gerwig directing more.
Yes, Greta Gerwig makes movies.
Is an Oscar-nominated director, one of like 8 women or 7 women.
Small collection.
A very small collection of women. So I would love to see her win something because I really think she is a very talented director.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Interesting.
I think right now she's working on a Noah Baumbach thing right now. White Noise or something like that.
Oh, okay.
I forget. I'm not sure. But yeah,
Barbie.
looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
The people want Greta Gerwig movies. They want her to win an Oscar. And the people also want the Studio Ghibli Museum to stay open because over $200,000 was raised to help save it. The money was needed for just general maintenance and repairs done to the museum.
Interesting.
I've never been,
Same.
of course, but it seems like a really cool place to be. I mean, any story that says thing gets to stay the same, like
Right,
location, I'm like, okay, good. Then I can go to that location
This is a
one
good
day,
thing.
maybe. It's always a good thing, but hey, we like Studio Ghibli. Right?
Absolutely. Who doesn't?
Who doesn't?
Stupid people. Stupid people don't, I think.
I mean, it'd be pretty stupid to like discard a whole studio.
Yeah.
If you said, "Oh, I don't like the Miyazaki ones," I'd be like, "Okay, so you like Grave of the Fireflies or whatever."
Right.
But to discard the whole studio, I mean, that's going to be stupid no matter who you are.
Exactly.
But I mean, there's people who discard animated things, which is just, I mean, mind-boggling.
That's really tough stuff from them.
Canis has been happening. I think that's how you pronounce it. Canis, right? Canis winners. Guess what won? I think it's pronounced the Palme d'Or. That's too close to what it actually is. Palme d'Or. I don't know. Titan. The Ducournau. Julia Ducournau
I've never heard
film.
of that movie.
Titan. Well, it hasn't come out yet because it's all the Canis films.
That's Neon.
Yeah, well, it's Julia Ducournau. It's a Raw lady, right?
Oh, I don't know.
I believe that was the Raw.
That's pretty cool.
Person.
Did Raw win the Palme d'Or?
I have no idea. But Spike Lee helped make this happen because he was on the like judges president or whatever. And yeah, I really want to see this movie. I want to see a lot of stuff out of Canes that's happening.
Canes.
As long as I can say it not the right way. Canis has been, I mean, wouldn't it be so great to actually like go to a film festival?
Yeah, but You have to get invited to Cannes, so
Yeah.
we're not going. That's
No,
what I'm
we're
saying.
not doing.
We could go to TIFF.
We could go to TIFF. We could go to
close.
Skiff. We could go to Pliff.
Oh, it's closer. I mean, it's still. We don't have to go over the ocean.
We can go Sundance.
Sundance is even farther than TIFF.
Right, but I'm just saying, like, we're allowed though, right?
Yes.
Maybe. I don't know. I know they did the like digital things.
I'm pretty sure TIFF is like the big one where like it has the most like normal people.
Right. Yeah. TIFF would definitely be the one that I would choose to go to.
I think.
But
I don't really know.
But yeah, look out for Titan. It should be good. I hope. I mean, it's got a cool picture here of a lady laying on a car.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. But that does it for the news. Told you we were just gonna boop 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 right through it.
Bada bing.
Bada bing. I'm wearing a Bada Bing shirt if you're listening to the audio. Which is, of course, is the what do they call it? The prostitute den in The Sopranos. I think that's what they're called.
Right.
Strip club.
Alternatively,
Brothel.
yeah.
Well, no, they don't. Actually, I don't remember if they ever actually do prostitution there besides the made men. I don't remember if it's open to regulars, people.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Anyway, you know what I do know?
You know
about to
who's
talk
not a
about
prostitute?
A lot of movies.
Probably.
Who?
Let Hansen.
Let.
Good old Let. Scarlett Johansson. Actress.
She's an actress.
She's been acting since she was like 12 or younger, I think.
Looks to me like her first credit is in 94, and I'm pretty sure she was born in 85, so that would make her 9 years old.
Wow. Okay, good for her. We have a bunch of movies here that we're gonna go through and just maybe say a little bit about the movie. If we think the movie is interesting, say how we thought she was in the film.
Right.
I have
as many as we can.
I have a few takes in here that are like, oh, maybe she was good in this, maybe she wasn't so good in something else. Yeah, I don't know.
Let's see how it is.
So the first one we have setting off is Manny and Lo.
Ever heard of it? Probably not.
Probably not. You did not see this one?
No, I did not see this one.
Okay. Manny and Lo is just who is it and what year, if I may
So
ask?
it came out in 1996. It was directed and written by Lisa Kruger.
Interesting. So Manny and Lo are two orphans who...
Should I read? Do you want me to read the thing?
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
A pregnant teen and her younger sister run away from foster homes and kidnap a woman whom they believe can help with the pregnancy.
Right. I mean, that's exactly it. So they kidnap this woman, Elaine, and at first they don't even tell her why they've kidnapped her. They are just like, hey.
How old is the woman?
Oh, like 50s maybe, 40s, 50s. I would say is how old
and
the
a
woman they
pregnant
kidnapped is.
teenager, and however old ScarJo is, not old.
Well, they have a shotgun. So...
Okay. See, I didn't know that. I didn't know if they like grabbed her. I was like, really?
No, they have a shotgun and they're like, come with us or we're going to blow your brains out.
Okay, now it makes more sense.
And I know that sounds very graphic, but this is much more lighthearted than that.
Okay. It says comedy. So.
Yeah, I would definitely say it's like a dramedy type film. Scarlett Johansson in this film, very young, it plays a very good, like precocious, kind of pensive little girl in this. I honestly think she's like really good because she's the younger sister, but you know she's like the smarter one.
Brooklyn Prince vibes.
Sure, I mean sort of. I feel Brooklyn Prince captures a little bit more of that naivete where Scarlett Johansson's character Manny has a little bit more of wiseness to her.
Okay,
you know, old soul kind of vibes.
Okay.
But they kidnap this woman, and really what happens throughout the film is that the woman kind of realizes the situation that these two kids are in, and she takes on like a motherly role as a hostage. You know, takes on almost a motherly role, and they accept her like that because she also never had kids, and it's kind of a symbiotic relationship that they start to form. They're kind of benefiting off each other.
Right.
And I guess I don't want to get too into it because there's some stuff that happens where you're just like, what? Like, I don't know. Just there was one big thing that happened in this film where I was like, who thinks of something like this?
Okay.
And so I guess I don't want to give that away.
Interesting.
Not that I recommend it. I mean, the movie's good, but I definitely think that the actress who plays the older sister could have been directed a little bit better, I think. But it's still a fine job.
All right.
But yeah, I just say ScarJo. Even as a little girl, I was very impressed by this performance. I was like, oh, look at that precocious little scamp.
Interesting.
So that leaves us to what year?
My Brother the Pig, 1999, the year of my birth.
Nice.
And yours, if I'm not mistaken.
If you're not mistaken, My Brother the Pig.
Being a teen is tough enough for Kathy Caldwell without having to be the target of her little brother George's constant practical jokes. Then their parents leave for France, and George is magically transformed into a pig via some of their nanny Matilda's ancient rocks.
And who's directing?
Directed by Eric Fleming.
I wanted to point this out real quick before we get too far into this. The beginning of Manny and Lo starts with Scarlett Johansson's character being like, oh, I wish we could live in France. And the beginning of this movie also starts with, oh, I wish I could live in France. I thought that was just kind of interesting coincidence.
Interesting.
Maybe there's some kind of conspiracy we can pop up in there. Yeah. So you saw this one. I think it's on YouTube.
It is. You can watch this on YouTube.
Watch it anytime you like.
Sure.
My Brother the Pig. And it's starring not only Scarlett Johansson.
It has Eva Mendes.
Eva Mendes. I was like, wow.
What?
I was like, that's kind of neat. Sure. Yeah, so it's the nanny, Scarlett Johansson, her brother the pig, and then like the friend, the little kid's friend, who I think is pretty funny actually.
Sure.
And the pig, pretty cute.
Cute pig.
It's a pretty cute pig. It's like a babe pig. I mean, it might be babe. I don't know. It's right time period, no?
Could be.
Could be the babe.
You never know.
So this film is like, it's got, even from the title and the poster, it's like Disney Channel vibes, you know?
Yeah.
Scarlett Johansson's basically like a girly girl for the most part in this one.
Mm.
The thing I wasn't prepared for was for half of this movie to like just take place in Mexico.
Right?
And they just go to Mexico and they're like, oh yes, this is my abuela. And it's like, she knows the magic that'll turn your brother back. And then the butcher's like, I'm gonna fucking kill that pig. And I was just like, oh, sure. Okay, this is what we're doing. It was just a very interesting turn for a movie like this. I expected it to just take place in like vague suburbia. Mm-hmm. But no, they go to Mexico and they meet like Mexican children who are like, oh, we have Stars Network. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a little kid's movie, but
yeah.
I don't know. I thought she did pretty convincing, annoying little teenage girl.
Yeah, I mean, she played the... whatever you're expecting a Disney-like performance to be, that's exactly what it is.
Right.
You know, which is good, because that's her job. Right. Is what she's supposed to do.
That's what we wanted.
You know? I would say that the movie was like slightly more fun than I expected.
Yeah, it was a little, but the expectations were very low.
Right, exactly. The expectations, of course.
So I guess it was a pleasant surprise.
It was a pleasant surprise, My Brother the Pig.
Yeah.
Next, we have a movie we've actually spoken about before.
We have spoken of this. It's The Man Who Wasn't There, 2001, the Coen brothers. We know. Starring
also James Gandolfini for a little bit.
I know.
Which is kind of interesting.
Yeah. This was a great movie.
Yeah, it's great. She's like a little girl piano player who loves to give head to older men.
Yeah, very weird stuff happening there. She's like,
strange.
Want a blowjob?
I want to. No, I want to. And then crashes the car. It's like, oh, fuck.
Yep.
And that's her performance.
Yep. So really great stuff from her there.
Yeah. Now let's get to a more exciting.
The same year.
Oh.
This movie comes out called Ghost World.
I believe at this point she was 15 or 16 then.
2001. So she was born in 1985. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
It checks out. Directed by Terry Zwigoff, with the only plan of moving in together after high school. Two unusually devious friends seek direction in life. As a mere gag, they respond to a man's newspaper ad for a date, only to find it will greatly complicate their lives.
So this is a movie, even though ScarJo is a pretty big character, she's still not like the main character.
Right.
But she's Enid's like best friend. Her name's like Rebecca.
BFFs.
BFF.
It is Rebecca.
And they just graduated from high school.
Good for them.
And it's like their first like summer, I guess, after high school, and they're just kind of like, okay, what now?
Because they're not going to college.
And Rebecca's like, oh, let's move in together at this apartment. And Enid's like, oh, look at this weird Seymour guy. I'm going to hang out with him.
Yep.
And I'm going to ask him to feed me.
Yep.
And yeah, what did you think of this movie?
I liked it.
Yeah. I was just going to say that it's interesting because you can kind of say that's what the movie is, and you're basically right. Not a lot happens in this film.
Right.
It's just one of those types of movies. I liked it as well. I actually liked it quite a bit. How funny did you think it was?
There's some real kickers in there. I don't know if it was like hilarious, but there are some jokes where I was like, that's really funny.
Right. That's kind of how I felt with this, where I was like, there were just moments where I was like, that's like really, really funny. The rest of the movie, I was like, oh, okay, sure. Yeah. Which I think works because even though this movie definitely presents itself as mostly a comedy,
right?
There's a lot going on, I felt. You have these three main characters. You have Rebecca, who's kind of... Let me back up. I feel like this movie is trying to place the sort of... I don't know if I want to call it like ennui, but the insecurity and just kind of the spinning the wheels of not having direction in your life, you know? And so that's exactly where Enid is. She doesn't know what she is. She doesn't know what she wants, but she kind of knows what she doesn't want, you know? Kind of like a movie I'll talk about later. And so she ends up just kind of not wanting to move forward at all. And Rebecca's kind of ready. She's wants to get an apartment. She's got her own job. Enid refuses to get a job, or if she does, she gets fired because she's bad at it.
Yep.
And she latches onto this guy, Seymour, who, in her words, like, is the opposite of everything she hates, I think is what she says. He's the opposite of everything I hate. And he's Steve Buscemi.
Right.
And which is cool. And he's like a 30-something-year-old guy. He's got like a roommate, and he collects like vinyl records, and he's really into like music and stuff like that. But he like hates his hobbies apparently or something. He just has a tough time with women. And Enid and him kind of share this relationship, which eventually leads to like a romantic relationship, which backfires. And Steve Buscemi's character ends up moving back with his mother. Rebecca's character ends up living alone in the apartment. And Enid gets on a bus
and
leaves. Now, what did you think of that ending specifically? Like, do you think literally she got on a bus and left? Like, do you think that's what happened?
See, I was watching, I was like, this is kind of weird. And then I was like, maybe the bus isn't real.
Right.
And I kind of like the idea that the bus is like not real. Even like earlier when like there's like the dude on the bench and he's like, the bus will be here. And they're like, the bus doesn't go here anymore. He's like, oh, it'll be here.
Yeah.
You stupid little girl.
You don't know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I do like the idea of like it just being totally not real. The bus.
I took it as the one constant in her life, as she put it, I believe, was the man on the bench. It was like, no matter what, he's going to be sitting there waiting for the bus. That was just what he did, you know? And they're like, every day he's there. So I took it when she sees him get on the bus and leave. She didn't actually see that. She just saw that the bench was empty, and she was like, oh, the bus must have came because he's not there. So where would he be?
Right.
And I took that as her just needing to find her own bus, kind of, you know?
Okay.
And almost like rejecting the societal pressures around her, I guess, of moving in or regressing like Seymour did and going back with his parents or whatever. I took it as just like of her rejection of what people expect of her, I guess. And I like that ending. I saw some people interpreted the ending as suicide, which I personally did not get the vibe for, but I understand it.
Yeah, I could see it.
I could definitely see it, but it's a little darker than I was hoping for that character.
I didn't feel that.
Yeah.
So
obviously the character has a lot of internal things she's dealing with, a lot of lack of identity and whatnot, but it just seemed like a jump for just the tone in general, whatever the film.
Yeah.
Although I heard something interesting that, do you know the film Last Black Man in San Francisco?
Yes.
Enid is in that movie. On a bus. but it's not the same people. It's just like a send up, but she's on that bus like in the same outfit or has like the same like piece of clothing or whatever, and like she's just there on the bus.
Interesting.
I thought that was very interesting. The thing that I want to take away from this film is that it is kind of Enid is such this kind of counterculture girl.
Right.
There's even a scene early on where she gets kind of accosted by these men in a shop where they're like, "Oh, the punk scene is dead. You look ridiculous." And she's like, "You don't understand. I'm making fun of the punk scene, not like actively participating in it." Like, you know, she's like
Right, yeah,
on
yeah.
a lot of levels, and they're like, "You're stupid." She's like, "No, you're stupid, but actually." And of course, Enid, I mean, she's like a teenager. She is naive. She doesn't really know how things work. She contradicts herself even.
Yeah.
Mostly I see it with her art class is where she becomes the most contradictory because she finds all this stuff like really pretentious, but then she finds the racist like restaurant art, and like she uses that, and that almost acts as a springboard for her. And for a second, she's like, "Oh, I can find a voice in this kind of like counterculture that I've developed," but people don't agree with it, and they like kind of take the rug out from under her and are like, "Oh no, the college stuff not going to happen for you anymore."
Yeah.
Like people just have decided that for you, you know. And I guess it's just someone who's tired of everything being decided for her. And that's why the bus symbolizes what it does for me. Yeah, I felt like I was going to say something else, but it slipped my mind. So, I don't know, Ghost World.
Ghost World, pretty cool movie.
Pretty
Should
cool
definitely
movie.
check it out if you haven't.
Yeah, it definitely has like Juno vibes, I would say. You know? Sort
Yeah.
of?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For sure.
Faux show. Next, we have a movie that we've also already talked about, Lost in Translation.
Right. Sofia Coppola. You know the drill. It's got ScarJo. It's got Bill Murray. They
I remember what I wanted to say.
get
about
lost
Ghost
in
World.
translation. Okay. Say your thing about the world of ghosts.
Sorry, I just want to say that another thing that I enjoyed was that it did take place in like the middle America consumer revolving, just like that strip of like gas station franchises, like Walmarts, you know, that just kind of everything super consumer centric and like franchised out, you know. It's just like everything's kind of cookie cutter almost.
Yeah.
And that's where she's stuck, and it's like everywhere in the film noir where you go, there's those kind of consumerist beliefs being just like propelled, and I don't know. I just thought it was interesting for her to be surrounded by the kind of culture that I really just guess defines America in those areas, you know. There's nothing for her except to buy and sell, you
Yeah.
know, or the idea that you need to sell yourself at all. You know, you need to sell either something you're good at or something you make. I don't know. That's it. Okay, Lost in Translation.
I just thought about this.
Okay.
This could be Rebecca after Ghost World. She could have gone to Lost in Translation. She could have got married to like weirdo dude that does music
Yeah.
and like went to Tokyo, and she's like, "Hate my life." But Bill Murray, old guy, is like, "Hey, let's chill."
Yeah, that very well could be.
It's a nice little headcanon there that I just made for myself. I think that's cool.
Yeah, so Enid ends up in San Francisco and Rebecca ends up in Tokyo.
Right. And then she gets upset because
She gets sad.
life sometimes doesn't go the way that it should go, maybe.
Yeah, we talked about this in our female directors episode,
Yep.
and it was a good time.
Right. It's a great movie.
Yeah, she plays a very good... She is like... I guess this is almost like a... I feel like there's a few movies where she plays this almost dissatisfied woman.
Yes.
You know?
absolutely.
That's kind of a thing she does. And I mean, I get it. She does it well.
Mm-hmm.
She just kind of has... maybe it's her eyes being the shape that they are, but almost like a lost Lorne kind of look to her when she's just kind of stoic, you know? She definitely has the physical appearance that pulls it off very
Right,
well.
yeah. I also think one thing I noticed watching just like all of these movies, for some reason, I think she's really good with like her hands.
Okay.
Does that make sense? I don't know, just like her hand like placements are like if you just like watch like scenes, like whatever, she's like doing something with her hands just to like kind of like fill the character out more. I thought like a lot of that stuff's really interesting. Like she'll be like, I don't know, like putting her hands in her pockets and like moving them around, or like, you know, just like fidgeting, kind of like going like this or something. I don't know. I just thought that was kind of cool.
I can definitely think of a few other examples that I would agree with that.
Right. It's in like a lot of things.
Yeah, I would say Marriage Story also has a lot of that as well.
Right.
Because there's a lot of, you know, confrontation things, not wanting to say certain things. So that translates into that fidgeting and everything.
Right.
And that makes sense for the wanting something else but not knowing what it is, just having that feeling in your body. And then they kiss
Yeah.
at the end.
But he says something, but you don't know what he says. Does anyone know what he says yet?
Yeah, I just said it on the show, I think. Pretty sure I told you. It's something like, no matter what happens, or no, it's I have to go now, but I won't let that get in between us, or something like that.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Anyway, same year.
We have Girl with a Pearl, Earring.
I didn't see this one, but you did?
I did. Do you know the painting?
No.
You don't?
Does the painting look like that?
Sorta, just take out the man.
Okay.
Girl with a Pearl Earring is like, I love that painting.
Okay.
But the thing with me is I've looked at a lot of Vermeer, I think his name is, the artist. Vermeer's work, and I only like the Girl with the Pearl Earring. The rest of his art, I'm like, well, whatever.
Interesting.
But that painting I like really, really fuck with. And this, I thought, was a really good performance from Scarlett Johansson.
Nice.
She plays like a maid who's, you know, in this fancy artist's house. And, you know, it's like whatever year it is, like the 1800s or some shit. And,
yeah, it doesn't say.
And so, you know, she's treated like trash. He's like, oh, clean the windows, blah, 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 blah. And he falls in love with her, and he paints her. He's like, here, take my wife's earrings and then get painted.
Right.
I think it's a really good performance for her because it's the most, like, understated in the film. Because speaking, you know, she's only supposed to speak when spoken to. You know, she can't, like, insult or do anything because then she's out of a job and she'll die. Like,
right,
you know, it's like, because she has to be so obedient, and not obedient to just the workers, but obedient to, like, this artist who's, like, coming on to her, you know, at first maybe just, like, feeling very uncomfortable because it's like the wife finds out, blah, blah, blah. And then also, like, I can't even say no to this man if I wanted to. It's that kind of thing. And so it's a lot of acting where she's literally not saying anything. And it almost gives me like a Portrait of a Lady on Fire, just because it's the artist and being painted and everything.
Yeah.
Of course, you get that
Right,
connection.
of course.
So it's that, but for the straights.
For the straights.
And but I guess I just really want to point out that her nonverbal acting in this, kind of like you were saying with the hands, is really, I thought, incredible. Just even her breathing in this, it felt very, very.
You watched the ASMR version?
I did watch the ASMR version. It felt very distinctive, very purposeful. Every breath, every look that she gave, and I was super duper impressed by it.
Wow, very cool.
Yeah, eventually the wife finds out, and she has what's her name? Scanlon, whatever Scanlon finds out, and
Joanna.
Joanna Scanlon, and she finds out, and there's this big thing where she's like screaming, "Get out of my house! Get out of my house!" She tries to destroy the painting, and Scarlett Johansson just has to sit there. I don't think she says a word in the entire scene, but like, you know, you can just see the emotions kind of flashing before her face. It's like, what is gonna happen? You know. I thought she was great.
Very nice. It's got Cillian Murphy too.
It does, yeah.
Like him?
They have sex.
Nice.
Yes.
All right.
Good couple. I like them as a couple.
Sure.
He has long hair though. It's weird.
Oh yeah, that is kind of weird.
Yeah.
2004, we have a movie called The Perfect Score.
The Perfect Score from MTV Music Film Studios.
Pretty freaking awesome.
The Perfect Score.
It's got ScarJo. It's got Chris Evans, and no one else matters.
No one else really
right?
matters.
It's
that
Captain
much.
America and Black Widow in the same movie before they were Captain America and Black Widow. 6 high school seniors decide to break into the Princeton Testing Center so they can steal the answers to their upcoming SAT test and all get perfect scores. Directed by Brian Robbins.
Brian Robbins.
What'd you think?
I thought it was better than I was expecting.
Me too.
I thought the title was awesome. The title's fantastic. The perfect score.
The perfect score.
That's fantastic.
yeah, I guess.
Because it's the perfect score. They score perfectly on the test, and the perfect score, like, it's the perfect crime, like a score,
Yeah.
Whatever. I was like, wow, that's great. It doesn't sound like My Brother the Pig,
I think that's a pretty great title.
My Brother the Pig's all right. But,
Yeah. I don't know. I don't really know what to say about this movie.
I mean, the thing you read off literally is the whole film. You have Scarlett Johansson's character. Well, you have Chris Evans. He's the main character.
Yes.
And don't ask me any other names, but he's just like normal. He really wants to be an architect. And other than that, he's just kind of normal.
Yeah.
And then you have Matthew Lillard, or Shaggy, if you will, who's his older brother who's like a washout and like lives above the garage. And he gives some wisdom, if you want to call it that sometimes. Then you have the basketball player who needs to do it so he can follow his sports thing.
Right.
And his mom really wants him to. Then you have the ScarJo, who's the rich kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Daughter of the dude.
Dude who's like in charge of whatever for the SATs.
Yeah.
And then you have Chris Evans' best friend who's also like normal but has like a girlfriend that he's in love with. And
right.
Then you have the valedictorian runner-up. And that's the squad.
And the really stupid guy.
Oh, the stoner.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you have the stoner guy.
Dead last in the class.
Who I don't know, and the narrator.
And the narrator.
I don't know if he was funny or not.
I don't know.
I honestly don't know. But the funniest part of this whole movie, to me,
okay,
is the same as Dolphin Tale. Where the black guy's like, you can't talk to your mom either, right? And he goes, my mom's dead. And I was like, but if she was, and it's like, then they try to make it like a real like serious moment. But like, he's like the stoner character and he's like almost smiling when he says it. And I just started laughing. I was like, oh my gosh, they're like going for like a serious thing right now. And it ends up being sweet because that character's mom kind of like comes in and tries to set him straight and is like, don't do drugs, which was kind of interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
He's like, sure, whatever. But they do it, but then they pull off the heist, no problem. Well, one of them goes to jail, but he gets bailed out by the rich lady, the rich girl. That's really no problem, I guess. They kissed. And then they're like, okay, here's all the answers. Who wants them? And they all go, no, thank you. I'm good. And then the stoner just like throws it in the bathroom and a bunch of random people get them.
Yeah.
And they all do well, I believe.
Yeah.
They all just do it. I mean, to be fair, they already took the test. So they probably have some memory of like, I remember we got this answer, So they still kind of cheated. The ending doesn't really mean as much because like, they're still pretty much cheating. If they would have got the answers normally and then never looked at them, the ending would have meant more, I think. But it still works. And Chris Evans and the valedictorian get together, and Scarlett Johansson and the best friend get together. Sadly, the basketball player and the stoner do not get together.
Unfortunate.
But maybe in the perfect score 2.
Return of the stupid ass test.
Starring, right, because that's what SAT used to stand for, Scholastic Aptitude Test, but now it just stands for SAT.
Right.
Suck-ass test.
Suck-ass
I
test.
think, yeah. Perfect score 2, if they got Chris Evans and Scarlett Johansson back, I would definitely watch it.
Absolutely. Are you kidding me?
And it's their kids. And they have to steal it for their kids because they're like, our kids are dumbasses. They're never going to pass the SAT.
Jeez. The perfect score. What a movie.
Next we have the SpongeBob SquarePants movie.
Yes. Which, listen, I have to confess that I did not know that Scarlett Johansson voiced Mindy.
I think she voiced her
a couple weeks ago.
in the video game too.
Wow.
So she really went all in with this character, and you can tell. I mean, taking on such responsibility, you have this character who is so has so much depth. She is the daughter of
King
Neptune. So like, just the expectations that are set on her is just enormous. And then she kind of has to. Her father enslaved.
Right, he's got the bucket.
And she has to, help these two heroes on their uprising to save the day. I mean, there's just a lot of weight put on this character, and I think Scarlett Johansson just really accomplishes that through her voice acting.
Yeah. Yeah.
For sure.
Absolutely. She's got the bag of wins, you know?
It's good. No, Mindy's a very, very sweet character, and I think Scarlett Johansson has that very nice lilt in her voice that is just comes off as very sweet.
Yep. The SpongeBob SquarePants movie absolutely rocks. 10 out of 10 film.
Next we have...
Is that her first,
voiceover?
Voiceover act?
Maybe.
Could be. It might possibly be her first time doing voice acting. Anyway.
Next we have Match Point.
Match Point, a movie that you didn't see?
We didn't say who directed SpongeBob SquarePants movie.
SpongeBob SquarePants movie was directed by Steven Hilberg and Mark Osborne. Live action sequences. So I guess just nobody directed the animation.
No, I think Steven Hilberg was the animated. And Mark
Osborne directed the David Hasselhoff stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
That makes more sense.
That does make more sense.
But Match Point. What
anyway,
year?
Match Point. Interesting movie.
2005?
2005.
I did not see this one. It's a Woody Allen film.
Woody Allen film?
Alleged, horrible predator.
Right, yes. I don't know.
Yeah.
They have a
lot of work together.
Multiple works together. At a turning point in his life, a former tennis pro falls for an actress who happens to be dating his friend and soon-to-be brother-in-law. Yes, that is the first 5 minutes of the movie.
Really? Okay, tell me all about it.
Okay. So, first off, I want to say if this movie was 30 minutes shorter, if it was an hour and a half instead of 2 hours, it would probably be really, really good.
I think that's how I feel about every Woody Allen movie I've ever seen.
Interesting.
That they all need to be shorter.
It would be really, really good, I think.
Okay.
But it's just good. It's a good movie.
Okay.
So basically what happens is it's really confusing. So he is dating this person. And his friend is dating this... No. He is engaged to this woman. And when he marries her, her brother, which is his friend,
yes,
will now become his brother-in-law.
Okay. Yeah.
But he is with ScarJo.
Okay. And ScarJo falls for the marrying guy.
Right. They fall for each other and they have an affair. No one finds out about it for a little bit.
Okay.
Well, technically ever. But anyway, they break up. ScarJo and the dude break up just normally. They just break up. And then he gets married to the girl. And everything's cool. And he's like, dang, I still want to be with ScarJo. And she's like, I want to be with you. And they're like, cool. So they have this affair for a long time. And everything's chill. But then, boom, she's preggo Nate. And it's funny because he was trying to get his wife pregnant for the longest time, but she could never get pregnant. And ScarJo just gets pregnant. So he's like, oh my gosh. He was like, you need to have an abortion. And she's like, no, I've already done that 2 other times for 2 other guys. This time I want to have the baby. Okay. He's like, you're making my life so difficult right now.
Yeah.
And so eventually she just keeps on being super annoying and he keeps on being really stupid. And he's like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. What do I do? So big mega spoilers. He literally just murders her.
Yeah.
With a shotgun.
Nice.
He just goes up to her apartment. He knocks on the neighbor lady's door and is like, hi, can I come in? Because she knows him, right? And she's like, oh, yeah, of course. You can come in. And then he just murders the old lady. And then he waits for Scarlett Johansson to get home and come up the elevator. And he comes up the elevator and he's like, hey. And she turns around and then he's like, shoots her in the face.
Nice.
She's dead, and then they're like, OMG, these 2 people were murdered. Who could have done this? And he's like, ha ha ha, I'm really cool. And you're like, man, what's going to happen? So he steals a bunch of jewelry from the old lady to make it look like a robbery. So the cops initially think that it's like a robbery gone bad, and as the robber's escaping, Scarlett Johansson just happened to be there, so he has to kill her. So that's how it is for a while. But then one of the detectives has a aha moment. He's like, it's this guy, because they interviewed him earlier, and he was like, no, I would never do that. I have a wife, and she's pregnant, and the wife is pregnant now.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, he wouldn't do that. But then he's like, oh my gosh, I figured out exactly how he did it. And he explains exactly how he did it. Mm-hmm. And then they find out that this one drug addict person was dead, and they're like, "That's our guy." And he's like, "What? How?" And then they're like, he had the old lady's wedding ring with him, which is important because earlier he's like throwing all the jewelry off into like the river, and he throws the ring, and it goes like mega slow mo, and it like tips off like the ledge. And at the beginning of the movie, he's talking about tennis, and he's like, tennis, sometimes the ball hits the top of the net, and when that happens, it's all up to chance, and you have to be lucky. It can drop on your side or the other side. So that happens, it's like a callback, and it drops not in the water, it stays there. So that person, that's like the twist at the end of the movie, that person picks it up, and so they're like, oh, that was the dude that killed the people. So then he just gets away with it.
Oh,
and then the movie ends.
Okay.
And he's like, I hope my kid is really lucky. And the movie ends.
Interesting. Wasn't actually what I was expecting the ending to be.
Yeah, I know.
I thought it was going to be, oh, why did these random people have the jewelry? It must have been not a robbery, because why would the robber, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's weird that it went the opposite direction.
Yeah, so that's what happens in the movie. But Scarlett Johansson, pretty good in this movie. I don't think it's anything really like spectacular.
So was he in the right?
No. What? This guy's a terrible person. Unfaithful to his wife.
Man. Fiance.
And instead of just owning up to his mistakes, he decides to murder 2 people.
It is weird how...
And an
3
unborn
people,
baby.
Yeah, 3 people if you include the baby. It is weird that he didn't just like push her down some stairs like a normal person.
Yep.
I think it's kind of weird that he just went straight to like murder and not try to force a miscarriage.
Just punch her in the stomach.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
He goes straight to kill 2 people. Like, would you... What's more unhinged? Punch a pregnant woman in the stomach or kill 2 people, one of them is pregnant? You know?
I don't know.
If I had to do one of the 2, I'd know which one I'd choose.
Which one would you choose?
I'm not going to talk about it.
Okay. Anyway, this is the first movie, I think, where ScarJo does a lot of, like, yelling.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
At least that I've seen. You know, I haven't seen all of them, but this is the first one where she, like, yells a lot. There's a lot of Marriage Story vibes I was getting from this, because there's, like, a lot of scenes where, like, them 2 are just, like, yelling at each other. She's like, I just want you to be with me. And he's like, it's not that easy. And she's like, I'm pregnant. I want to have your baby. But her performance was pretty good. Anyway, I don't think it was anything really spectacular, but it was pretty good.
Okay.
And the movie it's good.
Good.
But it should be shorter.
I guess we could talk about another Woody Allen movie. That
would be the next one.
Scoop.
Did
you see Scoop?
Scoop. This movie's weird.
This movie is very weird.
Another Woody Allen.
What year?
2006.
I hate this movie.
No, it's not that bad. An American journalism student in London scoops a big story and begins an affair with an aristocrat as the incident unfurls.
Yeah,
I mean, you hate this movie. It's not that terrible.
I hate this movie.
It's okay.
Yeah, I'm not saying that it's bad. I just hate it.
Why?
Because
Hugh Jackman's in it?
Hugh Jackman's actually my favorite part of the movie. I like him in it. My main problem is actually Scarlett Johansson in this movie.
Okay.
And I don't think it's her fault, because Scarlett Johansson, to like the worst extent I've ever seen it, just talks, and maybe this was the point, I don't know. She just talks and acts like Woody Allen.
Yes.
Like she's just a female, young, beautiful Woody Allen.
Yes, I agree with this.
And I hate it. Because like just even the cadence and just the structure of sentences and things is just Woody Allen, and it just doesn't, I don't buy it like ever, you know?
Right.
I feel like maybe it would have worked better as a play. You know, like maybe it'd be a good play.
Possibly.
But I wasn't really enjoying it as a movie. So it has like supernatural elements of like the ghost of this reporter is like, hey, this dude's this super famous murderer.
Right.
And so she's journalism Susan,
the tarot card
killer. And she tries to find him out, but she falls in love with him. And they're like, oh, wait, no, they caught this other guy. It was him. But really, at the end of the day, this guy did murder someone because she was like blackmailing him. And he just rolled it into the tarot murder case.
Right. Made it seem like it was the dude.
And really,
Huh? Is that smart?
Yeah, that is a smart plan. but he really jumps the gun on killing Scarlett Johansson.
Right, yeah.
Like, really jumps the gun.
Like, it's a shame that when I met you, you were drowning and I saved you. Now that you're gonna have to drown.
See, you're doing like a uncivilized British voice, but he's a very civilized British person. It's a shame that I have to drown you because everything is so perfect. Whatever. Yeah, and so he does it, but like nothing. If he wouldn't have killed her, they would have just lived happily ever after. Because
because he dies.
The guy dies in a car crash.
But he doesn't know that.
Well, he doesn't know that, but again, he doesn't know that the guy is going to be able to accomplish anything anyway.
Yeah, but
he jumps the gun.
No half measures.
Yeah, no measure would have been better. He would have succeeded if he would have done nothing.
You're right, but he didn't. And then
so he lost.
Now he goes to prison.
I also thought that the ending where to drown her, he literally just throws her in the lake.
Yeah, I know.
And because when they first met, she had feigned that she couldn't swim and she like drowned in a pool, and that's how they met. It's like he got her to like, or she got him to save her in the pool because she was like quote unquote drowning. And so that's what he does. He just throws her in the lake and he's like, oh, you can't swim, you'll drown. But like the viewer knows that, I guess they just assume that she can swim, you know, like perfectly fine. And it just, that also feels like for this guy who's like, I'm going to study this case, this tarot card killer, and then I'm carefully going to recreate the crime exactly so it looks exactly like a tarot killer case. And then his plan to kill the person who will find him out is just like throwing her like.
Right, yeah. And then he just leaves before
he sees her die or anything. Yeah. Like he just like, okay, time to go.
And then she just
immediately calls the police. He's like, oh, she's dead.
Right.
Without even checking. Like,
yeah. And then she just shows up. She's like, yeah, I was the number 1 on my swim team.
Right, you stupid idiot. And then she just smiles. And then she's like, wherever you are, Woody Allen, thank you for what you've done. And then Woody Allen's doing magician tricks on a boat.
Right, with the Grim Reaper.
With the Grim Reaper.
The movie ends.
And the movie's end. Yeah, I didn't like it.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay, but I hate it.
It's not great. I mean, I wouldn't watch it again.
I wouldn't watch it again or tell anybody to watch it.
Right, yeah, I agree. Also, they say scoop a lot.
They do say scoop
No one says scoop unless they're like, can you scoop me some ice cream?
Right, I say 2 scoops on my mint chocolate chip, please.
Right, no one's like, can I get the scoop on this?
Yeah, I don't think
so.
No Charles Dance is in the movie, though, for a little bit.
Great stuff, as always.
Great performance, as always.
He's fantastic.
Yeah, Scarlett Johansson in this movie was like, it wasn't her fault that she was written the way she was written.
Right. What's up next?
The Prestige.
Everyone knows, Christopher Nolan movie.
She's only in it for a bit. She plays like an assistant who like backstabs, kind of plays a double agent.
Yeah. I'll be honest, I don't really remember her very well in this movie.
She just showed up to once and was like, oh, the other magician, Hugh Jackman, wants me to sell your secrets to him, but if you kiss me, maybe we'll have fun.
Right. Hugh Jackman's in this movie too.
Yeah.
Wait, and Scoop had magicians in it. And this movie's about magicians, and Hugh Jackman is a magician. So maybe there's a connection.
So you're saying that Hugh Jackman's character is Woody Allen, and Scarlett Johansson's character in this one is the mother of the character in Scoop. Or the grandmother or whatever. Okay, yeah.
I could see it.
And he could just keep cloning himself to live forever or something. I don't know.
And I forgot David Bowie was in this movie.
I did forget that. And Michael Caine.
He's in all the Nolan movies.
Yeah.
That's a given. Anyway.
We talked about it.
Yeah, The Prestige. We talked about Christopher Nolan.
Mm-hmm.
What's up next? Nanny?
The Nanny Diaries.
Nanny Diaries.
Nanny Diaries. I feel weird about this movie.
Is that Chris Evans again?
Yeah, it's Scarlett Johansson and Chris Evans plays the love interest, Harvard hottie.
Paul Giamatti.
I think his name was Hayden, but they keep that from you until the end of the movie.
Okay.
So she's just graduated or something. She is studying anthropology. She wants to do anthropology. She wants to study how people live, and she's a little directionless, so she's like, you know what? I was in the park, and this woman mistook me for a nanny, and she pays super well because she's, like, super rich on the Upper East Side. So I'm going to take care of the kids. Sorry, what year was who directed?
2007. Directed by Sherry Springer Berman. and Robert Pulcini.
Cool. So she's like, yeah, I'll take care of this kid. His name's Grayer. And it's just some money while I figure my life out. And so she does it, but of course, the kid's like super mean at first, but she falls for him. The mom and dad are like super dysfunctional, and they don't get along very well. And eventually she falls for the kid, you know, they have a relationship, and he's like, oh, please never leave me, Nanny. I love you so much. And the dad like starts hitting on her, and like the mom is just like completely ignoring the kid, and like that the dad is cheating on her with like everybody, and she's like super puts all of her anger on the nanny, you know. Like she finds like lingerie in like her husband's office, and she's like, how dare you put this in the office, even though it's obviously not the nanny's, you know.
Right.
And eventually at the end of the thing, she gets fired, and she goes off on her, and she's like, you know what, you're just afraid because you're pathetic and your husband takes advantage of you. And she has this big tirade. And in the final scene, she gets with the Harvard hottie, Chris Evans. They start dating.
Nice.
And then the mom sends her a letter and is like, you were right. I divorced my husband and I'm spending more time with my kid now and I'm a lot happier. Thank you. It's just a sweet ending where you're like, oh, I'm glad it worked out for everybody.
Very nice.
Yeah. I think that she is pretty funny in it. I think she actually works with kids super well.
Okay.
It's probably just her ability to put on that kind of saccharine sweetness to her voice and everything, you know?
Yeah.
That when she needs to like really talk down a kid who's like going to throw shit all over the walls, it's just kind of she does it well.
Interesting.
But yeah, it was another one that I enjoyed more than I thought I would.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
Alicia Keys is also in it.
Wow. How about that?
Yeah.
2008, we have a movie, The Other Boleyn Girl. Fun fact about this movie, this is one of the, if not my mother's favorite movie ever.
Wow, I'm looking at the Metascore, and that's interesting to me.
Is it?
No, I guess
you know
not.
my mom.
I guess not.
Love you, Mom. Two sisters contend for the affection of King Henry VIII.
Wasn't King Henry VIII a bad one?
He's not great.
Yeah. Who's directing?
Justin Chadwick.
Oh, I love it.
directs.
I love this movie.
Do you?
Share names. Gotta love it. Gotta help. the
Right,
bros.
Justin.
Right.
This movie's okay.
I've never seen it. Just for put that out there.
It's got Natalie Portman, ScarJo. They're the two sisters. And then it's got like Mark Rylance. I remember he was in it, which was cool. And like, yeah, Eddie
Benedict
Redmayne
Cumberbatch?
and the Cumberbatch, and I guess Andrew Garfield. I don't remember him.
Interesting.
Benedict Cumberbatch is like not in the movie, and neither is Eddie Redmayne. They have like 5 lines.
Or Andrew Garfield, apparently.
Yes, I don't even remember him. He had to have been like a tiny child or something.
Sure.
So anyway, this is like, I guess based off like a true story or whatever. Basically they just were like, he was coming and they were like, one of you need to marry the king or something. And it was supposed to be Natalie Portman, but
She's the other Boleyn girl.
The king likes ScarJo, who is the other Boleyn girl. And then Natalie Portman gets upset about that.
So it's the favorite for the straights.
Yes, it actually is that is exactly what it is, except in the end, Natalie Portman gets her head chopped off.
With a gun?
Yes, with a gun.
Nice.
Because in the favorite, nobody dies.
No.
They just get some drug through the ground by a horse. But
Yeah.
it could be worse.
Well, the babies die. The pregnancies fail.
Right. But she gets her head chopped off because, let me remember. So the king gets Scarlett Johansson pregnant. But the king already has a queen. So it's like, this is already bad.
Okay.
This is already bad. Like, it's not good already. I'm trying to remember. But anyway, somehow it comes out that, like, because the king needs to have a daughter. His queen, like, can't have kids.
Okay.
So he doesn't need to have a daughter. He needs to have a son.
Yeah.
He needs to have a son really bad. Because all he has is daughters, I think. And so, like, Scarlett Johansson, like, gives him a son. But he's, like, really abusive to her and, like, not very nice. So he's, like, just a really terrible person in general.
Yeah.
But he also wants to be with Natalie Portman. But Natalie Portman's like, listen, we can't do this. Mm-hmm. So he's like, you know what? I'm going to rape you. And so that happens, which is not cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's like really upset about that, but then she's just like, okay. And then he's like, you've committed high treason against the whatever. You need to die.
Okay.
And then she's like, I'm going to die.
So when it says two sisters, are ScarJo and NatPo sisters?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I just didn't know if they both happened to have like siblings, so they were both technically sisters, but not sisters to each other.
No, yeah.
Okay. Or they could have been nuns.
Right. And then so ScarJo sits there and watches her sister get her head chopped off, and she's like, ma, 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 ma. And yeah.
So we know how Scarlett Johansson feels about ScarJo. Do we know how Natalie Portman feels about NatPo?
Does anyone say that?
I just said it like twice.
NatPo.
Natalie Portman, NatPo.
It don't really flow.
ScarJo, NatPo. It's the same exact idea. NatPo.
Yeah, but it's not the same. If it would catch on, people would be saying it. But people aren't saying it. Natalie Portman's been really famous for a long time.
Well, then why did Scarlett Johansson...
by now.
Well, Scarlett Johansson, Natalie Portman. Yeah, I don't understand. It's the same length. So why did we really need to do ScarJo and...
Natalie Portman.
Scarlett Johansson.
Scarlett Johansson. It takes longer. It takes longer to say it.
It has like more like consonants or something. You know, it's like Scarlett. Yeah, I don't know. Something like that. I'm still going with NatPo. Hashtag NatPo, you guys.
Hashtag NatPo. Get it trending.
Get it trending. We need to change it. I don't think she would like it either, but we'll see how she feels. Let's ask her.
Yes, Natalie Portman. How do you feel about NatPo? I personally vote against.
It's also probably because ScarJo, the just R to J works a lot better than the T to P.
Right.
You know, because NatPo is like very separate sounding.
Right. As far as performance goes, I think she's pretty good in this movie. The problem is that Natalie Portman is really good in this movie. So she's kind of low-key outshined a little bit, but she still has her moment at the very end of the movie when Natalie Portman's getting her head chopped off. She's doing a great job, but I really like ScarJo's, like, she's just kind of standing there. She's not like acting upset or anything. She's just kind of standing there watching, like, her very like reserved nature, like in I can't remember whatever movie you were talking about earlier where she's like
Girl with Pearl Earring.
Right, just like that, but in this. And I thought that was really great. And then she just leaves or whatever, and she lives happily ever after.
Well, then you probably agree with me because that's like all of the Girl with the Pearl Earring is that kind of scene. Yeah.
So that's really cool then. So yeah, she's really good at not when Scarlett Johansson isn't talking. She's really great.
Awesome. Yeah, because Scoop is probably where she's talking the most, and that's when she's the worst.
So yeah. Anyway, what's next?
We have Vicky Cristina Barcelona.
Right. Which fun fact about this movie, which I haven't seen, but I always thought it was Vicky Christie Barcelona. I did not know that it was Vicky Cristina Barcelona until like literally today.
Interesting. That's not very fun, but okay.
I thought that was a fun fact.
We have Scarlett Johansson as, do you want to guess? Don't look. Is she Vicky Cristina or Barcelona?
Oh, I thought Vicky Cristina was one name.
Oh no, it's two people.
She's definitely Christina.
Yeah. And then
I know these things.
Penelope Cruz, I think she won an Oscar for this. She's not Vicky, she's
Let's see. Consult the... I'll figure it out. Keep talking.
Okay,
what do you like? It's a Woody Allen movie.
Woody Allen movie, which also already makes it like, I don't know exactly how I feel about it.
It did.
Yeah, Penelope Cruz, good for her. She played Maria Elena or something like that. She was like the Spanish friend of Javier Bardem. And Rebecca Hall was Vicky, of course.
Right.
Do you want to just read the thing?
Yes, I will do that. Two friends on a summer holiday in Spain become enamored with the same painter, unaware that his ex-wife, with whom he has a tempestuous relationship, is about to re-enter the picture.
That is a weird description of this movie because that really puts a lot on the ex-wife being like a crux of this film when she's not really that crazy. I mean, she's a big part of it. Obviously, she won an award for it.
Right.
But she's not actually that pivotal to like everything that's going on.
Okay.
You have Vicky and Christina. They're friends from like they live in like New York, and again, their summer vacation. They're going to Barcelona, and they're just spending it. Christina is kind of doesn't know what she wants in life. Kind of just goes from place to place, trying different things. Recently, she's been getting into photography, but like that's like the 50th thing she's tried. She just does whatever.
Right.
Which is Scarlett Johansson. Vicky is getting married to Chris Messina, whatever.
Right.
And he's like I don't know what he does, but he's some kind of New York, like probably like a stockbroker or something, like his dad, it's like his dad's business, and it's kind of like a nepotistic sort of just thing that he has going on. I guess, I don't know if people like him, but I like the actor a lot. So when the character that he plays is supposed to be like not likable, it never really works for me because I'm like, oh, look, I love that guy, to me.
Yeah.
But he is like kind of an annoying, like, oh, I'm going golfing and blah, 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 whatever. Even though he is like, seems like a nice, loving husband. So I have problems with, these people are not like good people to me.
Okay.
These are like bad people. And I don't know if it's like a money thing, part of what makes me not like them, because it just seems like they don't have to worry about that, and they're just so in their own heads at all times that she's like, oh, I'm getting married next week, but like this hot Javier Bardem painter man who speaks Spanish, I love him that I just met. I'm just like, okay. And Christina makes sense. She does what she does. She's a vagrant, basically.
Right.
So she falls for him like immediately, and they have a thing. And he basically starts kind of courting both of them. Eventually, Christina and him actually start a relationship. They start dating over the course of the summer, of course. And that's when his ex-wife enters the picture, and they start a throuple. So Scarlett Johansson is dating both Javier Bardem and Penelope Cruz.
Okay.
And they're all dating each other, whatever.
Cool.
But like everything else in her life, eventually she gets tired of it, and she's like, you know what? I'm bored. And I don't want to do this anymore. So she leaves. And then that causes Javier Bardem and his ex-wife to break up again because they just aren't good together. They aren't a good balance.
Right.
Then he goes to Vicky and he's like, hey, the mom from Sharp Objects told me that you're not happy in your marriage, so let's fuck. And she's like, okay. And they almost do it, but then Penelope Cruz shoots her with a gun.
Oh my gosh.
But it just grazes her.
Oh, okay.
And it's like literally just her hand, like a little bit. And so she runs away. She's like, you guys are fucking crazy. And then they go back to New York, and they both look just kind of unhappy.
Dang, rest in peace.
There's two things that I really hate about this movie.
Okay.
One, there's a narrator.
Ooh.
For no reason. He's not a character in the film. He's just a narrator that is there, and I hate him.
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
Two, they play this song that is like Spanish guitar, and it goes, Barcelona, do-do-do-do-do-do-do. And they play it like a million times.
Okay.
Every time Javier Bardem appears on the screen and he's a main character, they play that song.
Barcelona.
And it goes, Barcelona. And eventually, like, I was getting a headache. I was like, holy shit, how much longer is this movie?
Barcelona.
Exactly. They kept playing it over and over.
Nice.
However, this movie is not without merit. I think the title reveals a lot about the film. Because if it's Vicky Cristina Barcelona, I almost did your thing.
See?
And it's not Vicky Cristina Juan Antonio, which is Javier Bardem's character.
Right.
It is Barcelona, which is where they are. So really, his character is acting almost as just this like backboard for them to project their unsatisfied feelings onto.
Okay.
Which comes from this city that's kind of enlightening to them to what they really want in life, this kind of lifestyle, the kind of culture that they're experiencing. It's like, oh, I don't want necessarily what I have back in New York.
Right.
I don't like this movie very much. I don't think I would ever rewatch it, but I am glad that I watched it once.
Right.
But the characters just got on my nerves so much. I guess this is totally a personal thing, but even in Lost in Translation, I felt it a little bit. People backing out of marriages or wanting to just always got to me for some reason, where I'm just like, it makes me dislike the character like immediately.
Right.
Especially if they don't give like if it's an abusive husband, sure, right? But if it's just a husband who's just like kind of lame, like Sleepless in Seattle and stuff like that,
yeah,
it always makes me like, that makes me so mad. Like, why let it go this far?
Right.
I guess I just don't like people like that.
I know what you mean.
But yeah, I would say definitely check it out once. But get ready to hear that stupid song like every 10 seconds.
Barcelona.
Next, we have a really good performance from her. Oh yeah, I should say she's also really good in it. I think.
Oh, okay.
She feels like a real free spirit. I thought she was pretty fantastic.
Cool, interesting. I wanted to say we're going to talk about all of the Marvel movies at the end, but the next thing would have been Iron Man 2, which is where she enters the MCU.
Yeah.
So, now we're officially in the MCU era, but right after Iron Man 2, did a little movie called We Bought a Zoo.
We bought a zoo.
We bought a zoo.
So it's about a family who buy a zoo.
They buy a zoo. That's what they do. It's Matt Damon. Do you buy Matt Damon and Scarlett Johansson being husband and wife?
No. I do not.
Okay, yes, because that is yes, definitely not.
Okay, what year and who?
2011. Directed by Cameron Crowe. Set in Southern California, a father moves his young family to the countryside to renovate and reopen a struggling zoo.
Yeah, he's got a dead wife, and he's like, man, I need a zoo. So they buy a zoo. And then there's problems with the zoo, and they're like, oh, we need to fix all these things so the zoo can open. And then Scarlett Johansson plays this girl named Kelly, I think, who runs the zoo. She's like, I know how to run a zoo, and we need money. And he's like, okay. And then they fall in love.
Yep. I will say, this is I don't know if it's one of her favorite movies, but my sister loves this movie.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that. I remember liking this movie.
I liked it. I watched it, just recently. I liked it. I wouldn't say I was my favorite Scarlett Johansson performance. There was one, it was fine, but there was one scene where I actually did not like.
Oh, okay.
And it was
tell?
The first scene where she it was when they had to put down a tiger. And she was like, look, he's in pain. It's stupid to try to give him medicine. It's it's the end of his life. Just let it happen.
Okay.
And he's like, no, not going to do that.
Matt Damon?
Yeah. And so she kind of goes off on him a little bit. And I felt like it must have just been the direction. And maybe it's just because it was a kid's film. Because it wasn't, for what she was saying, she wasn't being angry enough. So they should have either touched down the mean stuff she was saying, or just let her act angrier, because it just seemed like she was holding back, but not in a I don't want to say a mean thing. It's like a shy theater kid holding back, where it's he doesn't want to be too loud in the school,
right?
Kind of way.
Okay.
I just had one scene where I really was like, whoa, where'd this come from?
Interesting.
A weirdly off scene. But the rest of it, she's good. I again don't buy the romance, but that's okay.
Right. Yeah.
That's not her fault.
It's Matt Damon's fault.
Matt Damon's fault. But yeah, we bought a zoo. It's cute.
Yeah.
The kid likes to draw pictures of decapitated people and hang them up at school.
And then the Avengers, and then we're doing Don John next.
Sure.
Don John is quite an interesting film.
I passed on Don John. I said, you know what? No thanks. I watched the 33-second trailer, and I was like, I think I get it.
So Don John is directed by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, also written by him and stars him.
Good for him. JoGoLev.
What?
As they call him.
Yes, that's what they call
him. Everyone calls him Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
JoGoLev. JoGoLev.
Yeah.
Kind of like it. A New Jersey guy dedicated to his family, friends, and church develops unrealistic expectations from watching porn and works to find happiness and intimacy with his potential true love.
Is his potential true love Scarlett Johansson?
No.
I didn't think so. Okay.
So basically the movie is Don John. His name's John, but his friends call him Don John because he always gets the ladies at the club. So he's like, Don.
Okay.
Whatever. That's what it is. He has these friends that he always goes to a club with, and all they do is the whole time they're at the club, they're like, oh, look at that chick. She's totally a dime.
Man,
and
she
they're
would
like,
totally
no, he's not a
love
dime.
Premium Rush.
And he's like, oh, yeah, I could totally get that.
Yeah.
And so whatever. So he goes with all these women, and then one time they see Scarlett Johansson. They're like, oh, my gosh.
Oh, woo! I would totally watch a porno of her.
She's smoking. And he's like...
Is she smoking?
And he's like... And she's very attractive in the movie.
Okay. Because she's playing an Adriana type, isn't she?
Yes, she has that accent.
Yeah.
And she's actually really good at it.
I think she's
really
good at it too.
Really good at it. But anyway, he was like, I'm going to have to play the long game with her. I'm not really used to that, but I'm going to do it anyway. So he like whatever, they together for like a month or whatever, and she's like teasing him, and he like she's like, I want to meet your family, and they meet the family or whatever. And my favorite part of this movie is Brie Larson is in this movie. But listen, she plays his sister.
Nice, that's good casting.
And she lives at home with his mom and dad, but she never talks. She just sits there every scene while like they'll be like yelling at each other, like saying something stupid, and she'll just sit there and she's on her phone. She'll just like look up.
Yeah.
Like, the whole movie.
That sounds like really good casting. I like it.
It's absolutely amazing. I love that. Anyway, so he's like with her or whatever, and he's like with all these women, but he never feels satisfied. So he always goes and he like jerks off, and then he'll like go to church and he'll like go to confession or whatever, and he'll be like,
and he'll jerk off in the booth.
No.
Oh.
He'll be like, I had sex out of wedlock with 7 different women, and I masturbated 37 times to pornography.
Okay.
And then the father's like, 10 Hail Marys and 10 whatever. And he's like, thank you, Father. And then he'll like go to work out, and that's when he'll do like his like Hail Marys or whatever. And that happens probably like 30 times throughout the movie. 30. Not 30 times, but a lot of times where he just goes to confession. I bet you this movie took 10 days to shoot because it literally takes place in like confession, the workout room, in his apartment.
Okay, interesting, yeah.
And so he's just like, yeah, I masturbated this many times. But then one time they're together, they finally banged, and he's like, yeah, that was cool. Finally, I got to bang her, but like porn is really cool.
Okay.
So he goes to jerk off. This is weird, but
would this have worked if it was a pornographic film? Do you think it would be better? Do you think it'd be worse? I mean, obviously that doesn't like. Do you think it'd make a good porn? But like, legitimately, do you see this as like? Do you think this started as a porno that he was gonna star in? Then he's like, what if I just make it a normal movie?
No, the sex is there's plenty enough of sex in the movie. There's a lot of just like clips of porn.
Okay.
You don't see like penis or anything. But there's like a lot of clips all the time, and like there's a lot of sex in the movie, so it's fine.
Okay.
We don't need to be seeing anything more, please. Anyway, so she catches him. She's like, "Oh my god, you were watching porn!"
Disgusting.
And he's like, "No, I wasn't. I swear.
Okay.
I swear, I would never do that. That's gross. Only gross guys do that. I would never."
Yeah.
And she's like, "No, I know you were watching it." And he was like, "No, my friend sent it to me." And she's like, "You promise?"
Okay.
And he's like, "Yeah, I promise." And she's like, "Okay, I love you."
Yeah.
But then she finds out again. She's like, "Look, this is your history. Look at all this porn. You looked at 437 things today?"
Jeez. That is an addiction.
And he's like, "My history?" And she's like, "Yeah, your history. You don't know about the history?" And he's like,
That's funny.
like, "What?" Anyway, so then they break up.
Okay.
But he meets Julianne Moore, who is like
Oh.
a lady who's sad lady.
Sad lady.
And she's like, they go to school together and they're in the same class. And she's like, "Were you watching porn on your phone during class?" And he's like, "What? No." But he definitely was. And she's like, "Yeah, I know you were." And so then they kind of get to know each other. No, not like that. But eventually they get to know each other, and they have sex a few times, and then they find out more about each other. And it turns out like she has like a dead husband and like a dead child, and she's like just trying to like cope. And then he's like, "I need to find meaning in life." And so eventually he like finds meaning with like her, and he's like, "I'm not gonna watch porn anymore." And then they kind of like fall in love, I guess.
Okay.
Kinda. He becomes happy with her.
So is the movie good?
It's okay.
Okay.
It has a cool like style, and I think the editing's really fun.
I remember that from the trailers. It had like funky editing.
And like the performances are fun, and obviously anything with like that like accent is just funny to me.
Yeah.
So it's just funny. But other than that, it's kind of very like surface level, I think, with many of the characters except for our main dude John. He's the only person that you really get into.
Okay.
But like ScarJo and like Julianne Moore just kind of like, especially his friends are literally just like the dumbest. Like they don't need to be in the movie.
Yeah.
They really bother me.
So was this movie written just so he could have sex scenes with pretty women?
It's a thought. Your mind instantly goes, well, he wrote and directed and was like, I want to be the star.
Right.
I mean,
very well could be. If I write a movie why are you not gonna write? Oh yeah, and then Scarlett Johansson makes out with me for 30 minutes. Like, why wouldn't you do that?
Right. So yeah, I don't know, but it's a very interesting movie, I thought, and it has kind of like a happy ending, kind of, because he's like finds his happiness.
Because
finally.
he comes at the end.
Right.
So the happy ending.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, interesting. And ScarJo's she's very good in it. She's very good with that accent.
Good. Let's move on.
Please.
Let's move on to a pretty interesting film, I would say.
Right. Same year.
Oh, good for her.
Wow. So Under the Skin. This is quite an interesting movie. Directed by Jonathan Glazer, a mysterious young woman seduces lonely men in the evening hours in Scotland. However, events lead her to begin a process of self-discovery.
So unlike Don John, plenty of penis in this movie.
Lots.
Lots of penis. More penis than naked Scarlett Johansson.
Right. But never really sexual.
No, not sexual.
So what happens in this movie is basically Scarlett Johansson is an alien.
Well, as far as we can tell.
She's an alien. And she's
an alien.
Picks up dudes, just like the thing said. She picks up dudes and she's like, come back to my house with me. And they're like, oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And so they go back to their house, and then these very strange, surreal scenes happen where like they open the door and it's just like a black room, and they'll just like fall into like the void,
like a lake of ink or something.
Yeah, and then they're just like there, and there's like really weird like music and things happening, and then all of a sudden they just like flatten.
Yeah,
and they become like paper.
Yeah.
And she just does that like a bunch of times.
Yeah, and I think at the beginning it was her like taking the skin of like, it was like a prostitute or something. Like that's who she is. That's her skin. It was like some like prostitute that she like killed.
Right, because she doesn't look like she looks like an alien, but that's her. Like,
she's wearing human skin. Yeah.
Right, but then she's like, maybe there's more to life.
Well, the thing about this movie. Well, go ahead. What's like the thing?
Well, hold on. I haven't seen this movie in a long time.
Okay. Well, the fact that it's real footage.
Oh, that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Well, that's like the thing when people say under the skin, they're like.
Right. Yeah. Her picking up the guys is like real.
Yeah. She's like actually just driving around going, "Hey,
yeah.
you wanna?" I
always thought that was weird because then what do they do when they get there? They're like, "Hey, you're in a movie. Do you want to show your penis?"
I don't think so. I think it was more just I guess I haven't looked into it that much, but I do know that there's a deformed man who shows up at the end who like that's just him. He has that deformity. Like that's just who he is, you know. And he agreed to be part of the film, which is a very interesting. That's like more towards the end, I believe. Yeah, was his stuff. But the very end is there's this trucker guy or something like that, and she starts like, they're out in like the woods and her skin like starts like shedding basically, you know.
Yeah.
And you see her real form and she's just like this weird like basically like a humanoid person, but it's like all black and almost like scaly sort of. Mm-hmm. And the guy's like, "Oh fuck this!"
Yeah.
And he sets her on fire, and that's the end.
Yeah, she just sits there and she like looks at the snow.
Yeah.
She's like, "Life is kind of cool."
Right. And no, she's an alien.
Yeah, really crazy movie, but it is really good.
Mm-hmm. It is very. I've never rewatched it, so can't speak on that.
Right.
But it is just a very entrancing, like, what am I looking at kind of movie, you know? Mm-hmm. Especially when you can take what I think the real accomplishment of not only the film, but of Scarlett Johansson's performance is that you can take such a well-known actress, even in this year, she would have been Black Widow already.
Right, yeah.
And then make her so alien. You know, you're looking at her and you're like, what am I looking at? But it's Scarlett Johansson.
Exactly.
You know, unless she is an alien.
This
is a documentary.
We never thought of that.
When they said it was all real footage, it was actually all real footage.
It is just a documentary. Whoa.
Could be.
Whoa.
But I that is a point that I wanted to say, that it really is impressive how alien they can make her seem.
Right.
Just through whatever they do in the film and what she does. I think it's an accomplishment.
It is quite an accomplishment. This movie's very cool. Recommend.
And she gets naked in it, if that interests you.
Yep. If you want to see her naked, this is the movie.
But be prepared for way more penis. Way more flaccid dong.
A lot of wiener.
A lot. And from like just average looking people.
Right. This isn't your Don John type
Yeah,
stuff.
it's not Don John. It's just like a guy at a gas station.
If you want to not see Scarlett Johansson at all,
At all, if you don't want to see even a sliver.
but you just want to hear, you can watch a movie called Her, which she was, her voice was in. This movie is fantastic.
Have we talked about this movie?
I don't know. I can't remember if we did once or not.
I don't know.
Anyway, written and directed by Spike Jonze. In the near future, a lonely writer develops an unlikely relationship with an operating system designed to meet his every need. And the person is Joaquin Phoenix.
Yes, there's Joaquin Phoenix, and he's a cool dude. He's a...
You know what we did? Because we had our Amy Adams episode.
Oh, of course.
So of course we talked about
Of course
this
we
movie.
did. Yes, well, she plays the AI, Samantha.
Yep.
I believe she's named. And she's just, again, doing the sweet kind of voice. It's a very... This performance never gets too crazy, either angry-wise or whatever. Like, it's never too bombastic. And that really goes for all the performances in the movie, which I can appreciate, that kind of reservedness of it. But yeah, she's this AI, and she's just like, oh, hey, I can help you. And then they fall in love, and then she's like, listen, I've been talking to like 17,000 other people this entire time, so peace.
Yeah, it's very tough. But then it's okay because he has Amy Adams.
He has Amy Adams at the end, and they've both grown, and they've realized that maybe they were meant to be together or something. And she has this very... I think the best scenes with the AI in this one, or the OS, are the scenes where she's discovering herself and trying to be like, what's it like to have a body?
Yeah.
You know, or with Portia Doubleday coming in and like being like her body for her.
Epic moment.
And after that, and being like, oh, honey, it's okay. Like, you didn't do anything wrong and stuff like that. When she's really showing those emotions of sadness, I think is when she's best in this movie. Because it's really the only emotion that she gets to have, except for like happy,
Right.
is sadness. Because she never gets angry, really. She says she gets angry, but she never actually portrays it.
Right.
But yeah, I thought it was spectacular. And
Yeah, this is a really great movie.
I don't know how much her performance leans on Joaquin Phoenix's performance,
Right.
but they definitely, the back and forth is just like incredible there. And I think that they, Spike Jonze and everybody just accomplished something really with not having them. Like, I wonder if they met, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, even at all.
It's
during
like,
the
who
movie.
even knows?
Yeah.
But whatever they did, it worked because
Exactly.
it's very well done.
Yes.
And I freaking love that movie.
Fantastic movie. Her is really great.
Lucy?
Lucy. You said you have
not seen Lucy.
Have not seen Lucy.
I know how it
totally
ends.
just clicked the wrong thing.
I do know how Lucy ends, though.
Really?
I thought so. Doesn't she turn into...
Whoa, hold on, spoilers. Lucy, directed by Luke Besson, also written by him. A woman accidentally caught in a dark deal turns the tables on her captors and transforms into a merciless warrior evolved beyond human logic. I guess that's what it's about.
The year?
2014.
Yeah, so a little bit more.
So I guess this movie was trying to be like Salt.
Okay. You bring up Salt a lot.
I don't know. I just thought Salt's cool. I haven't seen Salt in like forever, but I remember Salt being like cool movie.
Okay.
Anyway, Lucy. So the thing is like humans can only use 10% of their brain, but what if we could use more than that?
Yeah.
And so Lucy gets the thing to be able to use more percent of her brain. And so as the movie goes on, she can keep on using more and more percent. She becomes smarter and can do cooler things like kill people.
Nice.
And then she does a bunch of crazy stuff, and then she gets revenge on the people that made her like this, and then in the very end she just becomes like dark matter
Yeah, good for her.
at 100% brain capacity.
Is this a feminist movie?
I can't remember.
Doesn't it end with like a bunch of footage from Animal Planet? I thought I saw a clip of the ending, and she was talking about it, and she just had a monologue over footage of like Animal Planet stuff.
It probably, I wouldn't doubt it.
Okay.
Because I do remember, one thing I very distinctly remember is I went to the theater to see this movie, and me and the people I saw it with were the only people there. So we were just chilling right in the middle.
Yeah.
And it was kind of cool, but at the same time, it was like kind of stupid.
Okay.
But I don't know if I really like her in this movie. From what I remember, she was just kind of like...
So she's not doing like a Black Widow then? She's doing like a... What's she doing?
She's doing like a... It feels like... You didn't see Ghost in the Shell, but it kind of feels... From what I remember, it feels like a Ghost in the Shell. But I guess Ghost in the Shell feels like this movie, because this movie was before. But
also Ghost in the Shell was made... The original was made before this, so...
Right.
Which is why I didn't watch that Ghost in the Shell, because I do want to watch the anime eventually, and I don't want that to be my first...
See, I did because I didn't want the new version to be like super mega terrible.
Okay, I guess that's another way of looking at it. Yeah.
Anyway, but except from what I remember, she has like at least a little bit of emotion in this movie.
Okay.
Lucy's not. It's not very good. You don't need to see this movie.
Is it like the Red Sparrow for Scarlett Johansson?
I guess she kills a lot of people.
Sure. Well, then Ghost in the Shell. Tell me about it.
Oh yeah, it goes in the Shell, because then it was just like a bunch of Marvel movies.
Yeah.
So the big deal with Ghost in the Shell...
2017.
Well, we'll do the thing first. 2017. Director Rupert Sanders. In the near future, Major Mira Killian is the first of her kind, a human saved from a terrible crash who is cyber-enhanced to be a perfect soldier devoted to stopping the world's most dangerous criminals. Cool idea. The main thing with this movie that caused a lot of discourse was that Scarlett Johansson plays the main character, who is supposed to be an Asian woman.
Right.
So yeah, kind of a big deal. But nonetheless, they made the movie.
Well, my question is, again, I don't know anything about Ghost in the Shell, but is the rest of the cast Asian?
No.
Is it okay?
So you remember Euron Greyjoy?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's one of the people.
Nice.
He's kind of cool. There are Asian people in the movie, but most of the main people I would say are not.
Okay.
I guess we can look right here. No, yes, no. So and there's only like two. Really, Scarlett Johansson and Euron Greyjoy are the only
main
real characters. So yeah, that's an interesting choice that they did. But the problem with this movie is it's boring.
Oh.
But so the problem is the story is really boring and uninteresting to me.
Okay.
But the one thing that I thought was really great is the visuals, the cinematography, and the production design are all like amazing. So it's just kind of like really sucks that the story had to be so lackluster, in my opinion, because they go in the city is so cool.
Yeah.
You know, I love like that cyberpunk type stuff going on. So all that stuff looks really, the sets are incredible. The costumes are amazing.
Well, does that kind of worry you for the original at all? Or?
No, because I've heard that this movie like changes a lot of things.
Okay. I heard something interesting, and this is just a tangent because I haven't seen this, but I heard something about the original Ghost of the Shell. If it was like a manga or a book or a movie or whatever the original was, that it was actually only like the first thing in like a series of things, and people always forget that there was like sequels to it because apparently like the sequels get like worse and worse or something. Something in my brain is telling me that that's a fact.
I don't know. I just know like the original like Ghost in the Shell like anime was like it's very beloved.
Yeah.
But I don't know. And Scarlett Johansson, she doesn't really get much to do in this movie because she's just it's literally her brain gets put into a robot.
Okay.
So she's pretty emotionless the whole time. She's like, I will execute the orders, master. Let's kill these bad guys. So she doesn't really, I mean, I guess she's pretty good at being like that. I guess we've talked about that. She's pretty good at it.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's really just kind of a boring movie.
Okay.
With not a lot happening. But it looks really cool.
Yeah.
So good job on everyone that made the movie look like this.
Good job, ScarJo, for looking the way that you do.
Right. So it looks very lovely.
What's next?
Also, one more thing.
Oh.
This movie would have been a lot better if it was rated R and had like a lot of blood and stuff.
Makes
it's
sense.
like PG-13.
Gotcha.
But I'm just saying.
Sing? You seen Sing?
No.
Okay,
Did you
let's
see
skip
Sing?
it. No.
Okay. Isle of Dogs.
Isle of Dogs.
More voice acting.
Other voice acting.
She does a lot of voice acting. I guess I never really realized that.
A bit. I mean, other people do more, but she does a bit. Yeah.
Right, but for someone that's like so high profile, I guess.
True.
Kind of a lot more than like normal people, I guess.
I mean, I guess usually they wait until later in their careers.
Right.
She's going for it now.
Anyway, Isle of Dogs, Wes Anderson movie, his latest movie.
I love dogs.
I love dogs. Isle of Dogs. I love dogs.
Yeah.
This movie's a stop motion movie. It's really cool. She
Star-studded.
plays one of the dogs. It has like a million famous people in it.
Yeah.
It's cool.
I didn't rewatch the movie or anything, so I can't really tell you, but I didn't remember it being bad.
Right, yeah. Isle of Dogs was cool, man.
So she's probably great.
Probably.
And I mean, Wes Anderson delivery is always interesting, you know?
Right,
So
yeah.
it is always different. I feel like he can just mold anybody to fit his style that like at that point, it's like not even their acting.
Right, yeah.
You know? But that's just speaking to him as a director.
Right, yeah. He's fantastic. Looking forward to his new movie.
Marriage Story? Not his new movie, but the next one we're talking about?
Oh.
Or
yes.
Jojo Rabbit.
Marriage
Not Marriage
Story. It's
Story.
the same. They came out the same year. Yeah. Marriage Story is, what's his face?
Well, yeah, Noah Baumbach. We must have already...
We definitely talked about Marriage Story before.
Yeah, and Jojo Rabbit, I
JoJo.
believe, because these would have, come out very, very recently, 2019.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, because I think we talked about them even on the show.
Yeah. So Marriage Story. Do you want to talk about them like together, kind of, since
Why
they
not?
came out like same
Sure.
time? Basically, these are the two movies that she was nominated for in the same year.
Yeah,
It was like big moment. Oh my gosh. And she won.
good for her. Deserved,
Good for her. For Marriage Story, right? I'm not tripping.
maybe.
I'm not.
Honestly, I don't remember.
I'm not tripping.
Won one Oscar.
Oh no, she didn't.
Oh
win.
yeah, Laura Dern.
Laura Dern
won.
won.
I do remember Laura Dern winning, because she beat her. Laura Dern beat her for Jojo Rabbit for supporting, right?
Right. Wait.
I don't think she won anything actually.
Did she won? Oh no, she's never won.
Yeah,
oh,
that's what I
She
thought.
won.
Yeah,
She's never won, but she was nominated for her first two times
Yes,
this year
yes.
for these two movies. Interesting. She was the favorite to win, I remember.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Marriage Story, great movie. Scarlett Johansson, really great in this movie.
Yeah, even though I don't like her character in
Right,
the
yeah.
movie, the performance she gives is good, and she has good chemistry with Kylo Ren.
Adam Driver.
I said what I said.
I said what I said. And then obviously their classic fight scene has been memed very much, and there's a lot
when he
of
bangs
really
against the
good
wall and
memes.
stuff. There's pretty good memes out of that movie.
Lots of good memes.
Yeah, basically good. But yeah, she just plays the unsatisfied wife.
Hey,
You know, and
again?
it follows a thing where like she's trying to do what's best for herself, and she usually, it's kind of weird because you throw in the kid as the dynamic in this film. It's like an extra layer, because it's hard to know, because I mean the kid's the kid, he probably doesn't even know himself what the kid actually wants, you know. I assume most kids just want things to stay the same, but he really likes where are they, like LA or wherever they probably are, you know?
Yes.
Where the mom is. He really likes it there, and it's just two opposite forces just pulling against each other. And when I think of that movie and I think of her performance, obviously you think of the memed scene, but I also think of
Right.
the scene where she first meets with Laura Dern's character, and she like first breaks down really
Right.
in the film and has that. And even the opening monologues of
What I love about
what I love
Whatever.
about my husband, what I love about my wife, those things are also pretty good.
Mhm. Yes, very much.
And Jojo Rabbit, she's a supporting character. She plays Jojo Rabbit's mom,
Mom.
right? Yeah. Who gets hanged.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that was. I remember that.
That was
that was
pretty
bad.
freaky, because
Yeah.
you just saw her shoes and you're like, oh.
Oh.
But yeah, she's a very playful, like it's the middle of World War II, so it's like she's playing
Right.
like a very playful character. And like I said, I think she does well with kids, you know, working off child actors. I think she does a good job of it. Probably because she was a child actress.
Right. That would make sense.
She can help with that. And she was really good in that too. She had a lot of fun with the role within Jojo Rabbit. I mean, that's what the movie's about, you know, is having fun with it with such a scary backdrop, I guess. So I would say, I mean, it really was. She was deserving of the nominations, and it was a really good year for her.
Absolutely, yeah. And now we have the Boss Bitch Fight Challenge.
The Boss Bitch Fight Challenge is probably my favorite performance of hers.
Really incredible stuff.
Really incredible stuff. I think that she was snubbed at the awards season.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
It was very sad for her. I remember that the Twitter was very upset about it as well.
We'll have to remember her for the Staggies.
Yeah, her best performance, definitely, right?
Absolutely. It's
like,
not even close.
It's not even close. Move over, my brother the pig.
Yeah, literally. Anyway, and then the latest movie that she's been in, it was Black Widow. So we can talk. Well, I can talk about Black Widow, and then we can kind of talk about her Marvel.
How was Black Widow?
Black Widow is exactly what you think.
Yay!
It's exactly what you think. It's fine.
Good.
It adds nothing, except for Florence Pugh. Florence Pugh, fantastic.
Is she
wonderful?
Coming in? Is she going to be in the future movies?
Most definitely.
Okay, cool.
So Black Widow happens, whatever. Literally, whatever happens in the movie does not matter.
Right.
All that matters is the after credits scene.
Okay.
Because the movie was just there to introduce Florence Pugh as a character.
Is she just the new Black Widow? White Widow?
No. So listen,
okay.
I'll tell you what happens in the after credits scene of this movie. It's kind of cool.
I'm waiting.
She's chilling.
Florence Pugh.
So Black Widow takes place in between
and
right after Civil War.
Right after Civil War. Okay.
So now, boom, it's after credit scene. This is after Endgame.
Endgame. So she's
dead. Florence Pugh at Natasha's grave.
Yeah.
Putting flowers down or whatever. And then she does a little whistle that they did when they were kids. And you're like, oh, that was sweet. And then this lady shows up. It's what's-her-face from Seinfeld.
Oh, okay. Elaine.
Yes. She's there, and she's like, hey, I have another mission for you. And she's like, okay. And then she, like, turns the book around to, like, show the mission. It's Jeremy Renner. That's the person. She's like, do you want revenge on the person that killed your sister? And I was like, well, he didn't really kill her.
Yeah, they were fighting to kill themselves, and Jeremy Renner shouldn't have even fought. So.
And so she's like, okay. So apparently she's going to be trying to kill Hawkeye.
So she'll turn to a good guy, and then Elaine will be the bad guy.
Right. But she was, like, already a good guy in this movie. So, like, that was...
It's a little strange.
So now she wants to, like, kill people?
So it's like the ending of Resident Evil 8.
Yeah.
Cool.
Kinda. But apparently I heard that there was like an alternate after credit scene ending that was shot. I don't know if this is true.
Okay.
But apparently she does like the whistle thing.
And somebody whistles
somebody
back.
else whistles like the tune back.
Yeah.
And people think that it's like Natasha, because apparently there's this like crazy theory that when Captain America went back to put the stones back, when he puts the soul stone back, since it's a soul for a soul, he like gets her back too.
But
I don't know how that works, but maybe.
But if you put the stone back, it's gotta be somebody's soul, right? Would it be that Gamora's soul again? And then it's just that.
Oh, it would be Natasha's, right?
But how would her soul get out?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't make any
exactly.
sense.
Well, I'm saying would a different Gamora go into the stone so her soul could come out of the stone and come back, or would it be a different Natasha?
But it's different because it's a different like timeline.
Different timeline stone, right? But it'd still be her soul inside of that. Well, no, because that would have just got, I don't know.
But Gamora wouldn't be in that one.
Right. This all makes perfect sense.
See? Anyway, so that probably is not a thing.
I'm sure Loki Loki paved this all out and made it super clear.
Right.
I hear Loki's good.
People say Loki's good.
So is Black Widow worse than Loki, or is it
Definitely. The ratings for Black Widow are like pretty mid, I think.
Okay.
Let's see what IMDb has to say. 6.9.
Yeah, that's...
And then a 67. So it's just like, I mean, it's just right in the middle. It's just like I said, like it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Who directed?
Kate Shortland.
Cool.
Good for her. It has like a couple fun... Florence Pugh is very funny in the movie. She's great. Mm-hmm. She's a really great actress. We know this already.
Yes.
She totally steals the whole movie. The villain Taskmaster is really stupid.
Oh no, Taskmaster's cool.
I'm sorry to tell you that Taskmaster is really, really dumb in this movie and very not cool at all.
That sucks.
And then, Hopper from Stranger Things is like, he's supposed to be like.
Does she do
comedic.
Taskmaster things, or is she just like a normal fighter?
What is a Taskmaster thing?
Taskmaster things is if you fight him, he'll learn your moves, and he can just you can never hit him with the same attack twice. So if you punch him, the next time you try to do that, he'll know what you're doing, and he'll be like, and be able to deflect it. And you can never attack him with the same thing twice. You gotta attack him with a new move every single time.
Interesting. No, I don't think that happens.
Okay, but what does she do? Because
It's a girl.
yeah, I could tell that it was a girl.
So like they fight like once, and then the next time they meet or whatever, they like don't really fight, and then you find out that it's a girl, but it's like the one dude's daughter who you thought that Natasha killed.
Oh.
But they didn't. She didn't actually kill her. She lived this giant, massive explosion, and so her face is all like patched up, and she's like a slave to like her father now to be like her like or his like person to do things. But then she's like, "Listen, you don't have to do this," and she's like, "Okay."
So she doesn't die? Maybe.
I'll be honest, I don't remember.
Jeez.
So yeah, Taskmaster really dumb. Charlotte Johansson, she's fine. She's Black Widow, so it's
Right. The villains are always bad.
She's great. The villains are always bad.
Except Loki, I guess.
They're always
and Thanos.
And Thanos. And Killmonger's like
Killmonger's okay.
He's on the upper end of the average.
Yeah. I remember I was talking to somebody about this. I was like, "Oh, all their villains are bad." And he was like, "You don't like Claw?"
Who is Claw?
it's I forget again. It's Black Panther. It's what is his name? I forget. I'm having
Andy
such a
Serkis?
Andy Serkis. Yeah, it's Andy Serkis' character
Claw?
in Black Panther.
And is he
And
dies like
he's
halfway through the movie.
He's like, "You didn't like Claw?" And I was like, "What are you talking about? Who is Claw?" Yeah, it's Andy. I wanted to keep saying Anthony Hopkins. That's why I got distracted.
Yeah,
but
there's like Thanos and then
Claw,
and Wilson Fisk from Daredevil.
Oh, if he even counts. I mean, then you could say Dr. Purple Man.
What?
Jessica Jones, bad guy. David Tennant.
Oh. No.
Kill my... I don't know. I don't remember.
Whatever. It doesn't matter. I don't know. Is there something you want to say about her being Black Widow in these other movies?
She's very pretty.
She's cool. She's cool in Iron Man 2. She's cool in Captain America Civil War. She's cool in Captain America Winter Soldier. She's cool in Infinity War. Well, actually, is she really cool in Infinity War? To be honest, I think that's probably her like where Black Widow's the least.
Maybe. I just think it's interesting that with her character, it always felt to me, and I guess maybe they changed this in Black Widow, but it always felt like she was on the cusp of like having development, and then they just didn't.
I know what you
like
mean.
with her and Captain America, with her and the Hulk, it's like they always like rubbed right up against to like, are the characters gonna change their relationships? But then it's like not.
Yeah.
It's so weird to me that nobody has sex. If you're a superhero, what are the moral like questions of like having sex? If you're Captain America
with other superheroes?
No, with non-superheroes.
Well, he loves Peggy.
That's fine.
And they definitely banged when he went back.
Then any of the other ones. Ant-Man. Oh, Ant-Man.
He has a daughter, so we know that he gets it.
Yeah. But it's like any character that like what's the if you weren't in a relationship before you're superhero dumb, what are like the moral boundaries of like having sex with people? Because they'll be like, you're the Hulk. You know what I mean?
But I feel like the Hulk could be dangerous.
Hulk could definitely be dangerous. But he seems like he's got it pretty under control lately.
He's always
just go like half Hulk and then we'll go. Like, when he gets smart.
Yeah.
He's like, that is better than your normal form.
We know that Tony Stark slams.
He's the only character that has on-screen sex.
That's true.
Star-Lord,
he
probably they get close, but like no, him and Cammy.
Yeah. Rocket Raccoon, we know that he's slamming.
We know that. Yeah.
Groot,
yes, but in a really weird way.
Hawkeye, he has a family.
Hawkeye has a family, he had kids, so at least in the past it's happened. Nick Fury, of course.
Yep.
Captain Marvel?
No.
You know, her and Spider-Man are supposed to get together. At least they have in the comics.
That's weird.
That is weird.
That's weird. No, she's too busy like saving the universe.
Did Wanda and Vision ever make it real?
They had to, at least.
At least once.
Does he have a penis?
Does he have a penis? I don't want anybody hearing. Does Vision have a penis?
I don't know. Does he? Was Tony Stark like, yes?
Of course he gave him a dick. Tony Stark was like, I gotta give him a dick, Jarvis. I gotta fix my man up with a 10-footer.
Literally, I don't even know.
And he's like, let me show you the true power of the Mind Stone.
Yep. Okay. We're done. We did it.
Hey, look, Scarlett Johansson. We never have to think about her ever again.
Right. Let's see, just real quick, what's she doing? What's next up on the agenda?
Sing 2 is her next movie.
We got Sing 2, Little Shop of Horrors, Audrey rumored, and then a movie called Bride.
Is it a Frankenstein ripoff?
Follows a woman created to be an ideal wife, but when she rejects her creator, she's forced to flee her confined existence, confronting a world that sees her as a monster.
I was joking when I said Frankenstein ripoff, but it's actually like a Bride of Frankenstein thing.
Seems like it.
Interesting. I'm glad she gets to do different movies.
Cool.
I'm sure she is too.
Right, yeah.
I think I'm more interested in seeing what Chris Evans ends up doing beyond like Knives Out and everything. You know?
Yeah.
That'll be interesting to see. I heard Rough Night was good.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you hear that it was good?
I heard that it was good.
Who said that?
Paul F. Tompkins. I think.
Interesting. So, looks like our dude Chris Evans has got The Gray Man. What is this?
The Gray Man.
In Europe, a CIA operative turned assassin looks to
It's the
evade
Russos.
mysterious forces as he tries to save the lives of the daughters who don't know he exists. Yeah, it's the Russo brothers. So he has not escaped it yet.
Not yet. But Anna de Armas is
And
in
he's
that
got
too.
Lightyear. Right. He's going to be Buzz Lightyear.
Right. That's so weird.
He's also rumored to be in Little Shop of Horrors too, which ScarJo is also in. And then a movie called Bermuda. Plot kept under wraps. Described as a mystery thriller revolving around the infamous Bermuda Triangle, where ships and planes have reported bizarre occurrences.
That sounds dumb.
Yes, it does. It's Chris Evans. He's trying his best.
What's Robert Downey Jr. up to? He did Doolittle. Let's just go through them all. All the people who have divorced the MCU.
Okay.
Let's see. Robert Downey Jr. He was in Chef, which we didn't mention.
Right.
But with Jon Favreau and Scarlett Johansson. But she's barely in it, so I didn't want to talk about it.
Right. So he did Doolittle. This is actually amazing.
Yeah.
So he's doing a miniseries, I guess, called The Sympathizer, whatever. He's doing another thing called All-Star Weekend, where he plays Mexican Stranger.
Okay.
Don't know what that's about, but this is where we get good. Sherlock Holmes 3 in pre-production. I didn't even know this was a thing. This is incredible. I love the Sherlock Holmes movies. I had no idea they were going to make another one. This is amazing.
Me
Robert Downey
too.
Jr., Jude Law, Jared Harris, they're all back. This is amazing.
Awesome. That's great. Sherlock Holmes movies are good. I remember he said that he hates acting, so good for him.
Really?
Yeah, he said he didn't like acting in like serious movies. He said it was boring or like.
Is Sherlock Holmes serious?
That's why I said that I'm glad he's continuing to get work because he doesn't want to do like
Oh, okay.
serious movies.
Yeah. I like it. Sherlock Holmes, very fun. Great soundtrack. Sherlock Holmes has one of the great soundtracks.
Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah, but that's our. That's
Anyway,
our
what are we
spotlight
doing?
on Scarlett Johansson?
Right. We'll end it on Robert Downey Jr.
Ending. Well, yeah, you got to. On Rob Dobjer.
That means it's time for the reviews of the week.
Reviews of the week. What do you got this week?
I have a thing. And it sucks because I had to talk about it earlier, so this is going to give it away. Oh, wait. I forgot. But anyway, you're still going to know what it is, probably.
Okay. I forget a lot, so.
When Brie Larson finally spoke and saved Greasy Sausage Boy, cinema was reborn.
Don John.
Okay, yes. I forgot to note.
Yeah.
She doesn't speak for the whole movie. till the very end. The parents, not the very end, but like close to the end, the parents find out that he and ScarJo broke up because they loved her. They loved her so much. And they're like, this is so upsetting or whatever. And then Brie Larson finally talks after like 7 scenes where she says nothing. She's like, listen, this is good for him. Like she was a bad person or whatever. And then he's like, thank you. And that's it. And that's the extent of Brie Larson in the movie. Amazing.
Nice. I got one coming in. Let's see. 1 star. A bunch of cyborgs pretending to speak and behave like human beings after their AI is trained only with trailers of Woody Allen movies.
Scoop.
It was Vicky Cristina Barcelona. You had a 1 in 3 chance.
I know.
Yeah.
Dang it.
But yeah. I thought that was actually pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Just pretending to be human and saying words and Woody Allen just cackling in the background.
That's funny.
We do have an email coming in.
Did you know that you could email us if you wanted to? You could email us, the 2 of us right here. We would read the email, but you can send the email to at thestaglerpod@gmail.com. It's pretty simple. Thestaglerpod@gmail.com. You say whatever you want, and we'll talk about it.
And it might sound something like this. Hey, guys. I've noticed a trend in a few... Hi. I'm reading the email.
I was saying hi. They said hey, so I said hi.
Oh, you're saying hi to them.
Yes.
I thought you were saying hi to me.
No.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
I've noticed... What? I've noticed a trend in a few animated ventures that I'm actually not too happy with. The most recent one being Space Jam.
Have not seen.
They got Coleman, Zendaya, to be the voice of Lola Bunny. Controversy
Wait,
aside...
hold on. Zendaya has a last name? This is like Obama all over again.
When will we learn Obama's last name?
I'm serious though. Wait, what?
I mean, obviously she has a last name.
But I didn't know that Zendaya was her name. I thought it was like a stage name.
Well, it could be, but she could have also changed her name. There's a lot of things that could have happened. Could have been her name, or she could have changed her name after she did it, because whatever, or plenty of things.
Coleman. And even on like movies, it never says.
You didn't
it
know?
Just says Zendaya.
You didn't know she was the heir of the Gary Coleman grill and everything? The heiress, I should say.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
She's the voice of Lola Bunny. Controversy aside about the fat tits. Okay, he didn't say that part, but I think she did a fine job. But that was really it. Just fine. A lot of animated movies are choosing to just pick big actor/actress names to voice their movies instead of actual seasoned voice actors. The newest Lion King being an example. The performances are never bad, but they can never give a well-voiced commitment like someone such as Mark Hamill or Robin Williams could do. Just throwing out my 2 cents and wondering what you guys think about it. Maybe you can do a voice actor episode in the future. Thanks. That's a good idea.
That is a good idea. We will probably do that.
I agree. I kind of remember
agree.
something else about this story, where there was a trailer, obviously, for Space Jam, and the trailer went something like LeBron James, Bugs Bunny, Porky Pig, Daffy Duck, and Zendaya as Lola Bunny. So you have all these characters that are being voiced by actors who don't get any credit, and then Zendaya is Lola Bunny.
Selling points.
Instead of, saying that. I mean, I don't know, maybe that's a Warner Brothers thing where they're like, don't tell people who these actors are because it loses the mystique or something. I could see that kind of thought process where it's like, oh no, there is no Bugs Bunny actor. Bugs Bunny just is, I could see them wanting to keep that sort of feeling with the character. Right. I still think it's stupid, and they should be like, these are actors who do a job.
Right.
Especially because doing those characters is such like a big deal. But yeah, it was just interesting how they're like, oh yeah, and Zendaya's the only one who gets credit for doing the character. And again, I don't know what her performance was. I'm sure it was fine, like you said. But it is an interesting point that I honestly feel, and I don't know if there's any truth to this, but just in things that I've seen, that a lot of voice acting, when you have actors who aren't used to it or anything, could often come down to the voice direction that they get.
Right.
And it plays like a really, really big role because most of the time they're not going to be able to add anything else to the performance except their voice. Sometimes, animators might see an actor do something in the booth and be like, oh, that's something the character could do, or things like that. But mostly it's just they get their voice and that's it. So if you have a voice director who's being kind of lackadaisical about it, and it's just like, oh yeah, do the lines. Oh sure, it's good. Take 2 is fine.
Right.
they might not be pushing the actors to get the full performance. Obviously, when we're talking about people like Mark Hamill, he's been doing it for a long time. He's a big pro as far as voice acting goes. So it's a whole nother league. But I wouldn't be so quick to like tarnish the abilities and talents of these actors doing voice acting because they might not be being pushed to do it better. But then I think about stuff like Invincible, and I think Steven Yeun and J.K. Simmons and all others do a fantastic job in that show, and that's voice acting as well. So it might come down just to direction, voice direction. It's probably just a little more nuanced than, an actor just like not caring,
Couldn't have said it better myself.
But yeah, good email.
That was a good email. Voice actor episode coming soon.
Coming soon to a podcast near you.
Specifically the Stagler.
Specifically this podcast.
Yes.
Well, that does it for the show. We're gonna wrap up here.
Yeah.
Good time. Next time, however, might be an even better time.
It could be.
Because we're gonna be talking about some summer fun. We're gonna be talking about just like summer movies.
Summer. It's the middle of summer.
It's summer right now, so let's just talk about summer movies. Maybe movies that just really make you feel like it's summer. Maybe movies where it's like looks just like really hot, and it's like, man, this is a hot movie, like Don John, right? Just stuff that really encapsulates that vibe. Maybe even like vacation sort of movies, because usually vacation in the summer, a lot of times. Yeah. Stuff like that just kind of really gets you in the mood to spend the rest of your summer well and not waste it. You don't have many left. Clock's ticking.
Tick, 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 tick,
tick, tock, tick, tock. Just like The Watchmen.
Yeah.
The HBO series. But that's next time. So worry not, my friends and listeners, dear listeners. Do you have anything you want to say to listeners? Do you have anything you want to say to Scarlett Johansson?
Until then, ScarJo. I'm still going to call you ScarJo. I don't care. And I hope everyone stays nice and frosty. Frosty cool. It's hot. It's hot outside. It's hot. Basically everywhere. It's really hot. So try to stay cool.